You're about to watch a full 2.5-hour training I delivered to one of my high-level masterminds on executive presence. Now, in the audience were my clients who are actively navigating the messy, the emotional, high-stakes part of leadership. And you're gonna even hear them asking questions in real time because I think that adds a ton of value. Because when you hear what real people are actually struggling with, it's going to click in a different way. Now, the session is going to be great for leaders in all capacities, but if you're a woman, if you're somebody younger, maybe trying to step into a bigger role. So whether you're running your own business or you're leading a team or you're trying to be taken more seriously inside the company you work for, we're going to be going deep on how to project confidence and composure, even when you're second guessing yourself. The communication habits that actually make people listen, follow, and take ownership, and how to build genuine connection and empathy without becoming a pushover. The decision-making traits and vision-setting skills that are going to separate operators from leaders, and the invisible leadership habits that cause teams to either trust or quietly dismiss you. We'll share how to balance authority and motivation so you can lead like a boss and not a babysitter. And then a breakdown of situational leadership styles so you know when to direct, when to coach, when to support, or when to delegate. Also, how to have tough conversations that actually change behavior. I'm going to break down this technique called the LEAF framework, LEAF, and you're going to learn techniques for giving feedback, setting expectations, and avoiding micromanagement, and how to show up differently, because executive present isn't just what you say, it's how you are. This isn't about pretending to be confident. It's about becoming a version of you that leads with clarity, poise, and power, especially in the moments that matter most. Now, in case you don't know who I am, my name is Stacy Tuschl. I've been a business owner for over 2 decades, and I've led many leaders, and this is one of my favorite things to teach on. So without further ado, let's get to the full course. Enjoy.
Welcome. We're so excited to have you. Today, you can see about half the room is here. About, I would say, a quarter of my team is here. Tomorrow, we will have almost 200 people coming, and then a bunch of your coaches. So it's exciting. So make sure to take time, get to talk to your coach if he or she is here. Utilize the room, and also feel free to talk to anybody, any one of my team members. Don't think you can only speak to your coach specifically. Sound good? All right, let's dive in. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is creating executive presence. Why do we even care about executive presence? Why do we want this? Because we want to make sure that as we start to delegate, people listen, right? Or as you start to delegate to somebody who's going to delegate, they still don't need to check with you to confirm it's exactly what you're looking for. The next piece is they demonstrate the ability to control emotions and respond professionally. It doesn't mean you don't get upset or you don't get frustrated, but you maintain a level of respect in all hard conversations. Communication skills, right? And we will put all of these slides, feel free to screenshot, whatever, take a picture, whatever you want. We will put these in your portal. So that will be, Christina, that could be something we put in before the videos are up. Yeah. So we'll get you the slides much faster than we can get you the video, but this is recorded. It'll go in your portal as well. And then the slides will be in there for you too, okay? Today's workbook, the workbooks you have are really for the next 2 days. But we wanted you to have them in case you wanted to write notes or anything like that as well, okay? So strong communication skills is crucial. And again, every time I bring this up, I might be speaking to the owner, but I also might be speaking to a key player or a leader who needs to work on communication skills, right? So being able to articulate thoughts clearly, listen actively, not talking so much, but listening more, right? And using body language effectively. So leaders with that executive presence can command attention and inspire others through their words and actions. So somebody just asked me this morning, so if I got somebody to leave the company and kind of think it was their idea, is that okay? Or even though she wanted them out, right? I was like, well, if you're just avoiding a conversation and you're making her do it, number one, how long did you have to wait to get that result? If you wanted to fire her 4 months ago, but you were waiting for her to figure it out, we're wasting time. We're wasting money. We're wasting the opportunity cost of somebody better being in that seat, right? So be very careful when you're passively letting things happen versus we have to have hard conversations. Connection and empathy. So executive presence involves interpersonal skills. So what does that mean? Well, leaders that actually have this quality can adapt to different communication styles. So in a minute, we're going to talk about there's different people on your team with different personalities, different needs. And if you are always being the way that you are, that's a problem. Good leaders really look at and assess who is in front of them and adapt to that person in the room specifically. And then decision making and vision. When you have that executive presence, you are able to be put on the spot. You are able to make hard decisions, right, in a timely manner. And they can articulate that clear vision and persuade others to follow their lead. So the importance of executive presence. We just shared a lot of things, like what it is, but why is it important? Well, first of all, imagine if I walked in here wearing yoga pants and my hair in like a top knot, right? You would immediately judge the situation, right? You would think, what would you think? What would you think if I walked in like that and you were not expecting it? What are some thoughts that come to mind? Yeah, okay. You want me to listen to her? Like she's the one in charge? What else? I don't care. Not prepared. Overslept, right? So now I'm unorganized, all these things. You have all these ideas in your mind, right? Now, we have to be careful with, because some of you might say, well, I own a yoga studio, so that's acceptable attire. Trust me. I have a dance studio, right? I see people that can be very put together in leggings and like a yoga outfit, and then I can see them wearing cheetah pants with a striped shirt, and they're, just literally looking like they rolled out of bed and didn't brush their hair this morning. Big difference. So you can have executive presence no matter the uniform, no matter the attire, right? You go into Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, and these young kids are wearing a uniform. You can tell who rolled out of bed, right? And who actually looks prepared. So I want to make sure you're thinking about what does it mean to somebody else who's going to unfortunately judge the situation by the way that you show up. And to bring that up to the team. Why is it important? Okay. This talks about like, you have a better chance of getting promoted. Well, they always say like dress for the job you want, not for the job you have, right? When we are looking at somebody who is showing up for work disheveled, not prepared, it doesn't make me think, oh, I bet they really want to grow here. I bet they really want to get into management, right? We're thinking the same things you just said. They're not taking it seriously. They don't care. So we know this. However, we're the boss. Are we, trust me, there have been days I rolled into my studio not looking so great either. Are we dressing with executive presence, right? Are we setting the tone? What are our leaders doing? Because if your leaders aren't doing it, I can guarantee you people that are directly reporting to them, they're not going to do it either. Okay, so we want to be very, very careful with that. Leaders with strong executive presence are more likely to gain access to important opportunities and high visibility, inspire trust and confidence in their abilities, influence stakeholders, basically key people. Again, like what I just said. Am I going to listen to somebody who I think is not prepared, always distracted, right? And drive decision making, effectively lead and motivate teams, and navigate complex organizational dynamics, right? So part of it is the look for sure, but it is only a portion of it. So how do we cultivate executive presence? So some individuals are going to naturally have it. They were raised that way, right? I have friends that say, like, my mom taught me never to leave the house with lipstick. My mom did not teach me that, right? There are certain things like you were just raised into that you are going to show up and do, but this can be taught, right? We've actually had to say to people please do not wear a hoodie. Please here's acceptable attire. So spell it out for them. But you have to make sure you're doing as well when you're trying to lead, you're showing by example. So with this said, how do you enhance that executive presence? So first, practicing self-awareness and emotional intelligence. How are you behaving? Do you need to step up in any of these categories? If you fly off, right, like if you have a reaction that's not the way that you want, how do you expect them to show up? Why would they show up differently when you're behaving that way? So how can you lead by example there? It will help improve communication and public speaking skills. It is not easy to say certain things to somebody's face, honestly, right? We have to say hard things and make hard decisions. And the more that we're helping them have those conversations, the better it's going to be for them in the long run. They're going to gain that perspective, right? Developing a strong personal brand and professional appearance, right? Everybody is their own brand. And explaining that to your team of how do you want to be perceived? Who do you want to show up as? And then seeking that feedback and coaching from mentors or executive coaches. So how can you coach them? How can you be that person for them? And then continuously expanding knowledge and expertise in your field. Okay, so first I want to ask you, any realizations, any commitment to doing things differently, behaving differently, modeling differently? Is anybody noticing anything? Okay.
I own a dog walking and pet sitting business, super casual. Establishing a relationship is the most important thing. We send our pet sitters to meet their client in whatever bottoms they want to wear without yoga pants and not too short.
Yep.
But in a t-shirt. And 20 years ago when I started, I would send them in polo shirts. And I just wrote down polos for pre-service visits. Back to that, because it really establishes that uniform look. So
Yeah.
service visits and specify what we want on the bottom half.
Okay.
Jeans.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so good. And you know what's funny is we used to have polos, right? And the more removed I get from the company, the more things change, right? That they're not going to be like, hey, can we change this look? We're going to do this. They might just do it on their own. But then when I see it, I have to re-educate of, do you remember why we switched that way? Do you remember why this is happening? So, or I'll see on social media, I think we switched to a policy of, because people like 20-something-year-olds, right? Sometimes they are wearing some crazy outfits, like cheetah with stripes, and you're thinking, this does not match. I actually had to say at one point, if you're wearing a pattern on the bottom, be a solid on the top and make sure there's a color in it. Like I'm teaching these kids how to match, right? So you have to be careful, like look at what is happening. So when I see my social media and I see this amazing teacher who's so kind helping this little girl, and I'm thinking, what is she wearing, right? So you have to make sure you're doing that. So thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else? Okay, yes.
So we are professional vacation planners, and so we don't see people in person very often. But I was writing down to coach that executive presence because I always talk about just because we can be at a ball game or on the beach or somewhere else when we're taking that very first call with someone, that is like a job interview.
Yeah.
We really need to be at our desk. We need to be putting the notes in our CRM, and that's the first impression.
Yeah. Yeah, so good. And it's just setting that tone. Like I remember we would travel with the team and they're thinking, oh, it's a travel day, right? What do you look like when you go to the airport? Well, that's a very big range these days of what people look like at the airport. And I had to say to the team, hey, we're flying the same day as our clients. It is possible we run into our clients. We run into clients all the time at the airport. So just be aware, are you at least you can still wear jeans. You can still just be professional enough that if you ran into somebody, you would feel good, right? So it's just little things like that we don't think about, right? Or we think, oh, is that really something I need to worry about? I would be considering it for sure. Okay, so good, thank you. All right, so moving on. So by doing this, leaders can strengthen their executive presence and increase their effectiveness in inspiring confidence, making impactful decisions, driving positive change within their organization. If anybody stops you on this, why do we have to? Well, really, why? What is the reason? If there's not a good reason, go back and figure this out. Just like you said, though, this is like a job interview, right? This is our first impression. It's important the way that we show up. So not only do you have to look the part, now we get into the really big stuff, you need to act the part. So looking the part is step one, because somebody judges that appearance immediately and in a couple seconds. But if the appearance is great and the actions that follow are not, your appearance is only going to fake them out for so long. Okay, so now we get into the really, really important information. So you need to model the behavior you want to see. So if you don't document your KPIs, you expect your team to, right? This is where they're going to have a hard time of like, but I don't get this. There's no gossiping or complaining as a leader. A leader should not be talking to somebody on the team and gossiping about somebody else, or leaders talking about other leaders. So you have to be really, really careful and separate yourself. So as some of these people that you're bringing into your organization are up-leveling, you're going to want to have to say, now listen, as a leadership team, here is what we expect. As a leadership team, we do not do this, right? We are always telling people, like, we are a united front as a leadership team. It shouldn't feel like this leader and this department are over there, right? It should feel like all of the leaders are together and we stick up for each other, right? So that's a big one. Another one is you're no longer one of them. So you may have experienced this already where maybe somebody did get a promotion, or you were with maybe 5 people, but now you've been elevated. And it's been a little tricky getting them to really see you as somebody that's in charge, okay? Hi.
And I am a new operations manager. And so we are just beginning. Like, I just got into the position in November, but I have to say it's been really great. We have about 20 plus pet sitters.
Okay.
And another office admin that I'm managing. But we have some long-time sitters that don't like my answer, and so they want to go around and talk to doing a great job of saying, you need to talk to our operations manager, and redirecting. But it is a learning process, and redirecting our sitters, this is the hierarchy now, up here, then me, and so that she's not dealing with 10,000 text messages, she and I communicate, and then it drizzles down.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple things. Because of you coming in November, it's still just new, which is very common. Can you tell me something that somebody did go around you or wanted to go around you? What was the situation?
One in particular sitter, she's been with us probably over 10 plus years.
Yeah.
She is in a position where she has to meet a client that has a dog before she actually agrees to do the client.
Yeah.
And so I will ask her and another sitter to go and do a pre-service visit, and she'll get hooked onto one keyword that is a behavior of the dog, and she already starts saying, I don't like this, I don't want to do this, and I'll tell her, you've been great, you're winning over pets, you need to give them a chance, and she's like, okay, but I'm not agreeing to this yet. And we're like, we know that you have to meet the pets, so we need you to go and meet the pets.
Yeah.
And then she'll go back and she'll go to, and she'll go, I don't like this. I don't like the solution that this is presenting, and I can't do this. And it's always one excuse after another.
Do you, when you hear this person say this to you, do you change anything for them, or do you say, no, this is what we're doing?
So now that Ryan's operations manager, and Ryan has been with us for a year and a half at this point.
Oh, so new to operator, not new to the company.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
So no, I don't
Okay.
change anything.
Okay.
No.
So this is where, in this situation, if this was me, I always think mindset. What is this person's thought? Mm-hmm. This person is scared because of her situation. So I am wondering, is this person not a good fit for the policies you set in place?
Right.
Like if you're like to me, I would almost ask, here's what I need. are you capable of that?
Right.
Are you willing?
And that's what we do with our pet sitting team, knowing that some people are better with big dogs, some people are better with little dogs, some people are only good with cats.
Yeah.
And matching the client to the pet sitter. But there are these, and we catch her on a bad day when other things have been happening. And so it involves all of that thought process.
Yeah.
But Ray and I communicate behind the scenes, and I'm like, okay, remember, and this dog is not a good fit. So, we have those communications, but I think it's helpful in what I've learned to be on the same page and not to respond to text and say, oh, okay, we'll fix that for you. I'll talk.
Yeah. I mean, here's the deal. It's either you're in alignment, you're making it a system, this is what's happening, but it's also when you pick that perfect system, she may not be the perfect person to work for you with that system. So that could be something to consider.
And there are spaces for people to work within the system. It's just a matter of us fine-tuning what we do to match that up too.
Yeah, 1,000%.
And I will say what's been really great is, so like I worked for her as a pet sitter years ago, and then life, whatever, and came back to work in the office. It's been 2 years, and then we just got promoted to operations manager recently. But she and I, over the course of the 2 years, are so much on the same mindset path now. It's like we'll run things by each other. Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not that you have to agree on everything, but you have to come to an agreement of how you're going to handle it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so good. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so when you change your behavior, you will start to change theirs. So some of you have been pulled into the operator role, but they aren't seeing the change. You got the title, but they're not seeing it. They don't understand it. The boss is still here. They're confused. So when you now show up, you have to come in with that executive presence, okay? So we talked about this already. Write down how you will show up differently moving forward, okay? So I think you've already kind of thought about that for yourself. Now the question is, it's not just about your appearance, but what will you start doing? What will you stop doing? And what will you continue doing? So what needs to start, what needs to stop, what needs to stay? So write that down. I want everybody to have one item per point. And if you've got nothing, remember, we are never a 10 out of 10. It can always be better. You can always be stronger. While we're finishing up, who's got a good one to start? Just say it out loud. Anything you're going to start doing. I just heard a really good rule of 2 out of 3. So it was, so obviously this is like a female thing, but it was like 2 out of 3, makeup, hair, cute outfit. You always must be in 2 out of 3. And I was like, oh, like think about it. Like you look somewhat put together with 2 out of 3, right? So that could even be a new rule for some of you of like, okay, I need to really focus here. Okay, so good. Okay, who's going to stop doing something? What are you going to stop doing? Yes?
Stop complaining.
Complaining, I know. Ugh, so hard because we naturally, that's just where our brain goes. Okay, so good. What's something you're going to continue doing? You are doing it and you know it's working and you're going to keep doing it.
Showing up.
Okay, showing up. Yeah, showing up when you don't feel like it. So good. Okay, so now we're talking balancing authority and motivation. So communicate transparently. This is probably the biggest area for opportunity when it comes to leaders and giving honest feedback. Now, we're going to empower our team members by delegating authority. So just like the owner is delegating to the operator has to get good at delegating to the next person. You do not want to get in a rut of, I'll just do it myself. They're not strong enough, so I will take it on, okay? That's exactly what the owner was doing before she hired the operator. We already learned from that. It's insane. We are not going to repeat that model. So you have to make sure that you're really helping delegate. And we want to encourage autonomy, or all you're going to do is transfer the people reliance from you to the right hand. And it happens all the time, okay? We see it over and over again. So no more micromanaging. Practice active listening. So again, we like to just talk and tell, right, and communicate, but we really need to start paying attention to the other side, okay? And then lead by example, working alongside your team when necessary. No job is too good for a leader. When somebody is a leader and all of a sudden they're too good for certain jobs, or they're not going to do that because now they're a leader, this is not a good leader to have in place, okay? Now, I want to talk about something new I haven't discussed yet. And it's called situational leadership. And there's actually 4 different types of ways to lead depending on the person you have in front of you, all right? So definitely listen up to this, because it'll be interesting to see how you've been leading and how you've been treating this person when maybe they need to be treated a different way. So every single person on your team has a different level of experience. They have been with you a different length of time. They know your product differently than somebody else, right? They also have a different personality. So we want to make sure that we adapt your leadership style accordingly. So there are 4 different ways that we're going to talk about today, all right? And definitely write these down or snapshot these as we get into them, because at the end I'm going to talk about how you're behaving, and I want you to very quickly be able to grab those 4 things together, okay? So number 1, directing. Number 2 is coaching, and I'll get into each one specifically. Number 3 is you're supporting, and number 4 is delegating. What a lot of people do is we direct, but we want to get all the way to the 4th stage, which is delegate. So we want to encourage collaboration among team members based on their skill levels. So we regularly assess and adjust. Now, here is where we rinse and repeat, or they've been here 3 years and we just think we know them, but we don't challenge them. We don't encourage them to do a few more activities outside of their comfort zone, okay? So we don't want to baby either. So let's first talk about the directing style. So this style is high directive behavior. You are telling them what to do, okay? So the leader provides specific instructions and supervises closely. So this might be a new person on your team, an entry-level person on your team, okay? So just kind of think about this. You are the leader. You are making decisions and solving problems without asking them for their input, because you don't need it. You know the answer, okay? You're using one-way communication. This is what to do. This is how to do it. This is when it is due, okay? Now, there is nothing wrong with this communication style as long as it's for the person who needs it. Where this goes really bad is you've got somebody micromanaging a high-level person who's thinking, why are you micromanaging my behavior? I said I'll get it done by Friday. I'll get it done by Friday, right? So you've got to be really, really careful, because this is a strategy, but only for the people that need it, all right? So you may have had an A player quit before because maybe you were behaving this way to them, okay? Now, the next style up is the coaching style. So this is high directive and high supportive behavior. What does that mean? It means that you're not just saying, here's what you do, here's how you do it. You're also saying, here's why we're doing it. So they are moving into a stage of education so that they can start to model this behavior. Make sense? So this is a big one. This is how they graduate up and they start building autonomy within your organization, okay? People want autonomy. They do not want to feel like they need to ask or they need you to answer, right? So now you're explaining your decisions and you're soliciting suggestions from the team. So here's why we're doing this. Any other thoughts or feedback or things that you might think we should be doing, right? Because now we're trying to get them to really understand. And you can see too how when you can start to do this level, this person is more valuable, right? They're bringing more to the table. You're providing guidance while encouraging two-way communication. They're either high level or been here long enough that I want their feedback. It is valuable to me, okay? You're offering praise and building confidence while still providing direction on tasks. So this approach is going to work well for somebody who has competence, right? But maybe lacks full confidence in their abilities. So that's why the praise is important. You're saying, you've got this. You can do this. I believe in you. I know this is going to be tough. I know this is your first time. It's scary, but I know you have what it takes. Okay. So now as you're starting to see just even 2 levels, you may start to realize, wow, I behave with one coaching style, no matter who is in front of me. Okay. And you really should have 4 different ways you coach. The third one is the supporting style. So now this is high supportive behavior and low directive behavior. What does that mean? So now the leader facilitates and supports the team members' efforts towards getting it done. Okay? Now, it shares decision-making responsibilities, right? What do you think? What would you do in that situation? You're focusing more on the relationship with the employee than on directing the tasks. So we're going higher level. How do I build up this person versus just delegating tasks? So this is for somebody who is competent, right? But still may lack that commitment or confidence as they continue to grow. Now the next one is low supportive and low directive. So this is somebody where the leader now empowers the team members to act independently. It's I trust you. You know what you're doing. Here is the outcome I need. Get it done. Right? They feel great because they have been promoted through these 4 stages of, wow, she trusts me. He is giving me this responsibility. A players want responsibility. You are providing minimal direct supervision. You're allowing the team to take responsibility for decision making. So this style works best with highly competent and highly committed team members who are able and willing to work autonomously. Okay, now with my style as the owner, I lean into the delegating more so because I'm busy and I'm hoping you've got it because I've got my own stuff to do, okay? Sarah, as an operator, lies into the here is what I need done, here's how I want it done, right? So that is possible that you're saying, yep, that's exactly who we are too, okay? So when you think about it like that, and maybe you're not exactly like us, but who are you? Who would you be great at leading or training, and who would you not? Okay? And it's really interesting. We've had a leader who felt like Sarah was telling her too much what to do. And then a different leader thought I wasn't giving enough direction and wanted her style. When I look back, why? Well, because this one person really needed to know what to do. Do you see what I'm saying? They needed the guidance. The other person was like, I know what I'm doing, right? That is going to be different. So it's not just about, entry level or a leader, you treat them this way. No, it's really what kind of support do they need and what are they thinking before they get into it. Now, just because somebody thinks they know what they're doing, you may have to come in and say, here is how I do want it done. And until you maintain my numbers, we are going to do it this way until you've proven you can take this on. Okay. And that is really, truly how I've been starting to manage the leaders coming in. I'm more hands-on in the beginning of here is what I expect. And until I see you can do what I'm doing the way I'm doing it, then I will give you autonomy to move forward. Because that's still earning trust, right? If they can maintain what I've done, I want to hand a little bit more trust over to say, okay, now you can start gambling and trying and throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, right? Because I know they're capable. All right. So by understanding and applying these 4 styles, you really need to adapt your approach. If you are a one-size-fits-all leader, that has to change in 2025, okay? If you have turnover, you've had a high turnover recently or just in the past few years, it could be the way you are treating the person coming in. And you might be so confused because you might think, I don't get it. The last person loves working here. Well, if you're doing the directing style and she needs the directing style, she does love it. But if the person previously is looking for more of delegation and you're behaving and directing, she hates it because you're micromanaging, right? So start to use that information. Okay, so you need to understand that not everyone on the team should be treated the same way, which is so funny because what do we hear? Treat everybody exactly the same. Everybody should, right? And we think that, but that's really not the case, okay? It needs to be customized. So here's what we're gonna do really quickly. I want you to take a minute and I want you to write down everybody that reports to you. And where do you think they are at? Who should you be to that person, right? Is it the directing? Is it the supporting? Is it the coaching? Or is it delegating? So hopefully the people in this room do not have a ton of people reporting to them as the owner or as the operator. So who are you going to be when you go home to them? Yeah, and there should be in the back of your journal for tomorrow, like I think there's blank note pages, you guys. So if anybody's like, where am I writing this? That's why we gave you your workbooks today, okay? Yes, ask the question.
Define what you're going to be when you go home if you're still in the process of finding that perfect management team.
Yeah. Okay, so do people report to you right this second?
Yeah.
Okay, how many? All of them? How many is that?
There's 5 of us, so 4.
Okay, that's not as bad. I thought you were saying like 40 or something. Okay, there's 5 of them. What I would be doing is you could even just kind of be rating those people, and this is not a bad thing to rate. Even if they saw this, you can tell them, hey, here is where you're at as somebody who's been with us for only 6 months, and at the level you came in at, I'm going to be doing more of this style with you. This is not a bad thing, okay? You could even go back and apologize for, I just had an epiphany and I've been treating you like you should know what you're doing, and I realized I haven't trained you enough to really be able to do some of these things on your own. So just know that these are conversations you may need to have. With these 5 people, just ask yourself, I always say, like, could they make decisions without me? What level are we at here? Do they need to still consult me? Am I telling them what to do and how to do it? Am I taking the time to go through the why, or is it just I am directing and they just get it done right now? Like, that's what I'm asking. What are you currently doing would be a great place to start if you don't know where you should be going. Okay? Yeah, great question. Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Currently, I have 3 politics.
Yep.
So the third one is
she was a director for me for other school before, so
Okay.
she know a lot of aspect of the operations.
Yeah.
So I delegate a lot of things. The only thing that she need to know is the ins and out of our organization that is different from the prior organizations.
Okay.
So one particular member, the leader, that I'm struggle with, she is very, very good, and she has a very, very strong character. So she's very dominant.
Yeah.
Our member, leader, is in some issue when she speak her mind very strongly, I notice people have to tiptoe around her.
Yeah.
So, yet she's very dedicated. She's invested in the company.
Okay.
What do you think that I should do?
Yeah, great. This is very common, right? I'm sure many of us, the larger our team gets, you have people that are a little louder, more vocal, more passionate. They want it their way, right? They believe their way is the best way. So, which sounds like an owner in many situations. So first, not only should we be behaving differently to them, we should be giving everybody on our team things to improve upon. So I would say to somebody like that, I love how you share ideas. And when you've got an idea, like you really want to make sure like everybody understands, and whatever you do like about it, right? There are some things you probably do like. Now, what I really want to do is I want to foster a culture where everybody's opinion matters, and I really want to hear everybody. So I would love for you to work on sharing your idea, but then saying, what other ideas does everybody have? I'd love to hear, like, teach her that this, like, yes, this is the way that you're behaving, but we all have things we can work on. So show her her communication style, what is not working about it, and maybe if it's making certain people feel they can't share because it's going to be her way or she's going to be louder, I assume your values somewhere in there, it's probably not in alignment with your values, right? I always bring it back to what part of my values would not have, like for us, it would be powerhouse mindset, right? Like we are not here for just one person. It is a team. So I love that you're voicing your opinion, but then give other people a chance and be open to their ideas, like collaborate with them. So this is where we're talking hard conversations. This is not easy to say to somebody some of these comments. Yeah.
And she have a hard time to coach as well if the other team member, which is a
hard time for her to accept feedback.
Yes, that is especially if she step into the boundary where she tries to dictate the way, like she become a boss of me instead of I'm the boss of her. So that
she's doing it with you?
Yes.
Okay. We have seen this as well. We've seen operators come in the room where we're like, oh, we got to fix this. Like this is like, because the relationship needs to be respectful, right? So, I mean, obviously I need more specifics, but just if I'm going off of what you're saying to me, this is probably out of alignment with values, and it's probably not something you can coach on. So what happens is in the beginning, when we're not super crystal clear on our values, or we're just hiring fast, or we're hiring people, and we're like, oh, wow, they actually, people say you don't have to like everybody, right? So you might even see in an interview like, wow, she's kind of like this, but that's okay. She sounds good. You bring her in, but we miss that she has some missing values. And at some point when you get really clear on your values, you need to clean house with people that are not in alignment with your values. I mean, do you think the people on your team like her?
They do.
Okay.
And she has a lot of quality, which is I feel she come a long way from the beginning of it.
Okay. So she's more coachable than you realize, maybe?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm trying to learn how to coach her without that. A strong resilience.
This is where I always just kind of have the vision of like, I really like working together. I see us being together for a long time, hopefully. Like I hope you want that too, right? So let's go over your vision, your goals, what you want. And then I want to help coach you on getting there. So you start with like a good salesperson listens. We do not talk. Right? I want to hear what you want before I sell you something you don't need. So she's going to sell you on what she wants to see here. Okay? Now you have to look at that and say, do we sell that? Sometimes it's like, I can't make an offer because what she wants, I cannot give her. Okay? So that's number one. Number two is when you hear what she wants, if you're like, yeah, this could be the place. I could give her that. Now you sell the vision of, okay, you could be the director of whoever, like whatever position she wants, right? You could be doing this. We could be making six figures. You could be, okay? But to get there, I want to give you some big things I want you to work on. Are you up for the challenge? Do you see the difference in language? She's not thinking you're talking bad to her or you're having this horrible meeting about all the things she's bad at. She's like, tell me the roadmap. Yeah, I want to hear it.
I like the way you say it.
Okay.
Because she always wanted the challenge. When you challenge her, and then
there you go. You use her language, right? Are you up for the challenge? If she loves challenges, let's go. Right, and then later after the team meeting, when she does what she's going to do, you go back and you say, okay, let's talk about Tuesday's team meeting. So remember, one of your challenges that you're working towards is you're working on XYZ. Tell me how you did on Tuesday. What do you think that looks like? You're hoping she's like, I was a little too much. I should have been, like, you're not hoping for perfection in her behavior. We've got to break these habits. You're hoping she's just aware. Because if she comes back and says, oh, I think I crushed it on Tuesday. I think I really got my point across. And you're thinking, oh my goodness, we're just not making progress. No progress. It's like coach them up or coach them out. You're either coaching her to stay or you're coaching her and you're realizing this is not going to work. Does that make sense? Okay. Great example. Thank you so much for that. I'm sure lots of people have people like that in the room. Yes, we'll come back here.
I'm not really sure the best way for me to do this. I have 11 employees or team members, and I do the directing, supporting, coaching, and delegating to all of them, but there's also different roles because it's not only just to the admin team, but then to my practitioners. I own a spa and I'm also an esthetician and practitioner. So then I have those people that are coming to me, but then that could, so
Okay.
how do when we do this, how really, if you feel like you're doing all 4 for your entire team, how do we break it up?
Yeah, a couple things. You're the owner?
Yeah.
Okay. 11 people is a lot to manage.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. I don't need to tell you that. So we need to figure out who can help manage and have people report to them, because 11, I mean, I can probably guess you're not doing one-on-ones and you're not doing all the things you should be doing because you do not have the physical hours in the day.
You're correct.
So then they're not getting the coaching and the support they need because you're unavailable, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess some of the coaching support is that they are randomly texting me like, I need help with this, or how would you approach this? And it's me responding all hours of the day, every day of the week, or in person they're stopping me mid.
Do you have anybody that can help manage?
Yeah, we just brought on a manager, and
Great.
I have Tatum who helps in a different angle of stuff, but
You literally want to say to your team, right now you text me and you call me. And that's great. That's what you were supposed to be doing. However, I am not even able to support you in the way you need because there's now 11 of you. So we're resetting things up to better support you, to give you what you need to thrive here. So what you're gonna do when you have a question is you're gonna text or you're gonna Slack or whatever the rule is, right? And you set up the new person. And you just start pushing them to go there. But as that person's sitting here doing this, we need to build systems to stop some of this, I need to know what you think. Because if we just watched for 2 weeks everything you've been interrupted on and built a playbook, and then we trained off of that playbook, there'd be a lot less interruptions. And that's what I mean by autonomy, right? It's not like, hey, Brooke, do we give a refund today or do we do? No. You just open up the document and it's like, when this happens, we do this. Oh, cool. I don't need to ask. It's in the playbook. That is what most businesses are missing.
Yeah, we've been working on some of that stuff, but I notice in the moment, like I was just away for New Year's Eve, time visiting family, and then we have created in the SOP of how to handle a certain situation, and yet the chaos, nervousness, stress of the client right there, the front desk person trying to deal with it really quick, didn't know who to call.
So there could even be a system. If a client is right next to you and this is urgent, you need an answer fast. Here's what we do. If it's an email or something where she's walking into her appointment and I can tell her after her appointment, you're going to go look at you see what I'm saying? Even it's when do I look at the system could be a system. Because I get it. They're standing there yelling at you that you were overcharged. They're not going to be like, let me text my boss to get the playbook and let me go flip through 41 pages. I understand there's some urgency. But sometimes it's a simple question where they can just say, great question. You have a salon or what do you have?
A spa.
Spa.
Yeah, wellness.
Great question. Once you head into your appointment, and I'll make sure before you leave, I get that answer for you.
Okay.
They've got an hour now.
Yeah.
Or whatever time, right? To go figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when doing this then, should I, with putting something next to each person's name, the leadership style, should I put the primary one that I would be for them?
You could. Yeah, and it could be what I believe she's saying is
at least.
If they're great at the front desk, she might be able to delegate there, but they might be new to doing massage and she's telling them different levels here. That is 1000% a possibility.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just good for you to be aware of behavior. Even if you're getting this wrong or you're not writing it down perfectly right, how many of you have already had a takeaway of your behavior? Raise your hand. Yeah, that's all I'm looking for is for you to go, oh, I'm the same person everybody all day long, right? My style doesn't change, but all of these people are totally different. Yeah, but we gotta get you the manager org chart situation.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, so it's not oh yes, that's okay. We'll do one more question and we'll move on.
What do you suggest for moving someone from one coaching style sort of up that hierarchy?
Yeah, because they're capable, you think they're ready?
I think they're capable and ready, and they kind of need to be.
Yeah. Okay, totally. So I mean, like Sarah and I still have open conversations. Like she said to me like a week or two ago, do you want to know when this thing happens or do you just want me to handle it? I'm like, handle it, right? But like, I like that we're talking because if she just assumed that and then she never told me and then 90 days later, I feel like she's doing this thing that I'm like, what, right? I like that communication. So I think for you specifically, let's say I came to Sarah, that's not what happened, but let's say I came to Sarah and I said, okay, it's time for you to really, this business. It's time for you to just make those executive decisions. And there's a lot of things she has that on already that she could just do. If it's something new I want her to step into that's been like bugging me or I'm frustrated or I'm stressed because why do I have to keep hearing this? Like there's certain things where it's like, I am too close to this business. Like I can't hear that I suck like a million times a day. You know what I mean? Like how many of you are like, everybody hates me. Why am I in business? Like, what am I doing? I can't hear a gazillion complaints over and over and over and think I'm going to show up to work and be the best leader, right? So it's like, you can say to that person, look at these complaints. Where is it true? Right? Is it just a crazy person or is like, where is this true and where can we improve? And if you can make sure you own that fault of ours and help us fix it, you could even fix me without even knowing. Like I don't even have to hear, by the way, when you do this, people hate it. She could be like, you know what you should try? You should try doing this. And I would think, oh, that's a great idea, right? There's ways that you can have her or him help you. So I would just tell them like, this is what I need, or this is what I want to see, help protect me or help whatever this is. And I want to try this for 90 days. And that's it. It's just, yeah. And reassuring them. I'm only asking because I think you can do it. Or I wouldn't ask you, right?
Yeah, building that confidence.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so good. Okay, we're gonna keep moving because we have a lot to cover. Okay, so it's not about you, it's about them. I hear this a lot from leaders. I used to think these things, but now I know how people are, but now I have my leaders maybe sometimes saying this. So, well, I don't need to be complimented. Why do I have to compliment them, right? Or, well, I would never expect that, so they shouldn't expect that either. Or, I never got that at any job I had, so why would I have to do that here? So what you have to remember is if you are the same as your team, they wouldn't be reporting to you. They would be a leader someplace else. So they need different things than you need as the owner, as the operator, okay, as a leader. All right, are we doing okay? I want to go into a new session that still kind of goes with this, and that's just really about mastering tough conversations. We will take a bathroom break probably in the next 30 minutes or so. Bathrooms are straight out that door. So if you do have to go, just go straight out that door, but I'll probably break in about 30 minutes, okay? So let's talk about what does this look like, because this is 90% of what we do all day long. So new leaders can face several different challenging scenarios that require difficult conversations. Now, I'm gonna put up a few on the screen just to get you thinking. But what I want you to understand is a lot of the difficult conversations your leaders have are repetitive, and we can train them on the answers, and we can even role play with them. So think, what are your biggest complaints? What do people say about you? How do you fix it? And how do we already work through these and start to teach them? So that's where people are like, I just don't know if she can be taught. I feel like I always have to jump in. Well, are you practicing? Are you role playing? Are you showing them what it looks like specifically? Okay, so it could be cash flow issues, practicing discussing financial constraints with employees or vendors. So I don't know about you, but we have a big team where employees might say, hey, can we buy this? Hey, we really need this, right? And he or she may have to go back and say, here is the situation, and we're not able to grant that right now, right? So how can you start practicing some of these big things that keep happening? Maybe late customer payments. Maybe they're getting involved in people not paying overdue invoices. Again, what do you say? Do you practice this? Do you role play this? Performance problems. Practicing confronting employees about subpar work or missed deadlines. I will tell you, most people do not have this actually written down. They do not role play. They do not practice. They say, hey, can you just tell her she can't keep showing up late? And then that conversation does not go the way you wanted it to, right? Maybe conflicting priorities, resolving disagreements between other team members or other departments. What do we do when team members are disagreeing? What do we do when departments aren't getting along? Business partnership challenges. Some of you have husband-wife. Some of you have 2 partners, okay? So this can be a big one, right? What do I do when one is telling me this and the other one's telling me that? Okay, so create systems for these specific items. Now, this is just to give you an example. These are not probably yours. He or she may not be doing certain things in there, but I wanted you to see what are some of your big common frustrations that you can start to work out that happen all the time. Does that make sense? Who's got like a big one that oh my goodness, we do have this and we never practice and we never go over? Like, are you seeing some of this already? Okay, good. So the framework for structuring difficult conversations. So it's called the LEAF framework. And what it's going to do is it's going to give your team members the words to use in a professional way, okay? So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure they listen. I think most people want to defend. Nobody wants to be wrong. Nobody wants to take the blame. So what do? We do not listen. We want to speak first, and we want to tell them why I'm right and you're wrong, and here's what's happening, okay? And again, I'm going to keep bringing this back to sales. The number one thing you're not supposed to do in sales is disagree with somebody. You will never get the sale when you disagree. So you want to listen and agree with what is going on. So active listening. So could be where if you're watching or witnessing this happening and there is no listening going on, that's where I would give some constructive feedback to that leader of, okay, listen, this happened and you immediately jumped in to defend. I want you to get curious. I want you to ask questions. I want you to get details. I want you to write things down. So start to listen deeper, okay? So give your full attention to whoever is talking. Maintain eye contact. Watch your body language. Oh, especially on Zoom. Okay, especially on Zoom. You may have to say to certain people, watch yourself on Zoom. Don't watch them. Because sometimes they are watching the other person and they're mad and they're angry and their face reflects it. If you're looking at yourself, watch what's happening, okay? Use the 80-20 rule. So you're listening 80% of the time to get the info. You can't solve somebody's problem if you don't know what the problem is. So only speak when you have those details, okay? Avoid interrupting or formulating responses while the other person is speaking. So this is an interview tactic, right? What happens is interviews, if you've ever listened to a not great interview, a lot of times it's because the interviewer isn't listening to what the person's saying. They're thinking, what should I say next? And then sometimes you think, wow, that was such a disconnect in this conversation. We do that. We're so concerned about what we're going to say next and how we're going to sound smart that we're not actually listening to the answer. So listen and have no agenda of what you're going to say next. That is a skill set in itself. Pay attention to nonverbal cues or emotional undertones. So what are they not saying, right? How are they appearing on camera or in person? Use clarifying questions to ensure you fully understand their point of view. It's okay to say, okay, let me repeat this back. Tell me if I got this. Getting that data back, because they might even go, oh, is that what I just said? No, right? Like they might be so worked up. So just slow the conversation down. The second piece is empathize. So when we were talking about Kathy and this person with the PTSD, there is a thought there of like, I'm empathizing, even if I'm like, oh my goodness, this is not a great employee. This is a nightmare. This isn't working. But I might be like, but she has PTSD from a dog bite and she is terrified. So I'm going to remember that when I'm in that conversation. Versus maybe for me, I'm thinking, get over it. I was bit too and I'm fine. No, like that's just because you're one way does not mean they're that way, okay? So how can you empathize with the situation? And empathizing, wow, that must have been scary. I completely understand why you would feel that way or why you're requesting X, Y, Z, okay? So try to understand what they're thinking. And it's not about, like, let's say she thinks this, And your response is, but that's not what I meant. It doesn't matter, right? It's just, this is her thought. And now that it's her thought, what can we do differently to make sure we bust that thought? To make sure that that's not popping up? Acknowledge their feelings and concerns verbally. Use phrases like, I can see this is important to you. I understand why you might feel that way. This is how we agree, okay? Consider their perspective and how their experiences might influence their viewpoint. Show genuine interest in their well-being and desired outcomes, okay? Now, we can empathize. That does not mean you're always giving in to what somebody else wants. It's possible you are just no longer a fit for this person, okay? So the next step is, now that we have listened, okay, we've empathized, now we are analyzing the situation, okay? So now we're looking for, what is the core issue or the problem that actually needs to be addressed? The big question we always say is, what problem are we actually trying to solve here? Okay, because sometimes these things turn into huge messes that really, it's just gotten so out of hand. You just got to go back to, what is the problem we're trying to solve? So consider potential solutions, their implications. Examine any assumptions or like assumptions, biases where it's not actually happening. You're making an assumption, and that is why, like, that assumption is now causing these behaviors. And then look for common ground and shared goals. So what do these people, these two conflicts, right? What do these people want in the end? And then frame the problem in a way that focuses on tasks rather than personalities. You don't want to say things like, well, you're very demanding, you're very, right? That is not going to help the situation, right? So we'll show here in a minute how you actually use your words, but it's when you do this, I'm interpreting it as this, right? Versus we're just making a blanket statement that you fill in the blank with some negative phrase, right? From there, the last piece is formulate. And really what happens is there is no first, second, third step. It's just we attack and we formulate in real time, and we interrupt and we tell them what we really think or what actually really happened, because our human instinct is to defend what we did and why we did it. So we're going to step 4 versus listening to what they actually have to say. A good salesperson gets all the information. Get the information. Put yourself in their shoes. Empathize, right? Analyze, and then formulate. Imagine just slowing yourself down in your decision making, the difference in the levels of decisions you'll be making. Okay, so now we create a solution and a plan of action. So collaborate with the other person to brainstorm potential solutions. So here's what I'm looking for. How do we get there, right? If this is the end result I'm looking for, what could be some potential opportunities? Use language like, how might we, right? To encourage creative problem solving and also to show this is a two-way conversation. Be clear about your expectations and desired outcomes. Develop a specific actionable plan with measurable goals so that we can actually see, are we making progress? Is this getting better? Agree on follow-up steps and a timeline for implementation. Do you see how these are getting very specific here? So we're going to know, are they improving? Are they stopping that behavior we've asked them to stop? Or is this still happening? We're documenting, we're dating. We want to see like, wow, we talked about this back in November, and February, it's still a problem, okay? Time flies. You don't even realize you've been talking to the same person for 90 days about the same behavior. So document dates, okay? So by following this, it's just going to slow down your response, and it's going to be more thoughtful, right? It's going to be more open-minded. You're going to get a better outcome because they're going to feel heard. They're going to feel like you're putting themselves in their shoes, and that's what everybody is looking for. So remain calm, objective, and focus on finding a mutually beneficial solution. All right, this is something you could train your team on. You could train your leaders on. You could take these exact slides when you get them and work through, this is how I want you in the middle of conflict to be thinking about what's going on, okay? So even though the operators are in the room, there's many people at home that might be leaders, right? That you wanna make sure they have the same executive presence and are really taking this information as they go into all of these other conflicts that may arise. All right, so here's some examples. I'm gonna go fast through this and then I've got real examples for you to understand. So this is where we're just trying to teach them how to speak, which I know sounds so funny, but you'll see what I mean in a minute. So the I statement structure is when I observe this, I feel a certain way because, and then you're saying, you're requesting, I would prefer. So let's give you a couple things, right? So observation, state facts without judgment. So I noticed you arrived 30 minutes after the scheduled time. How many times have you let people walk in the door late and not said anything, right? 2 minutes, 4 minutes, now it's 7 minutes. They just think it's not even a big deal because you've never mentioned it, okay? We wanna really start to be like letting people know you get what you tolerate, right? So I noticed you arrived 30 minutes after the scheduled time. I feel anxious and stressed when someone is late. I need reliability and punctuality to manage our projects effectively. Can you please let me know in advance if you're running late? Do you see how much more, feel free to screenshot this. Do you see how much more clear this is, how professional that sounds? You're stating facts. You're not saying you're always late, and then they're gonna argue, I'm not always late, I was here yesterday 5 minutes early, right? You don't wanna go into these generalizations. Use facts that they can't argue with. I see pictures, so I'll wait one more minute. Okay. I have a bunch of these, so if you want to screenshot, go fast with me, feel free. Okay, I'll read them, so if you want to take a picture, take it as I'm reading it. So when I review our financial statements, I feel concerned because our cash reserves are lower than expected. I need to ensure we can meet our financial obligations. Can we schedule a meeting to discuss strategies for improving our cash flow? Okay. Again, this isn't like, I don't feel like you've been managing the books that well, and I'm just noticing that this is going, and then you're going to get defense, right? I've noticed that your invoices have been consistently paid after the due date. I feel worried because timely payments are crucial for our operations. Could we discuss setting up an automated payment system to ensure on-time payments? Okay. When I review the project timeline, I see several deadlines have been missed. Now, you could be even more specific facts, right? You might decide, I see that 4 deadlines have been missed. When you say the word several or consistently, you better make sure it is literally every time she's late, right? Or they will argue the 1 out of 7th time they were actually on time, right? So I see that several deadlines have been missed. I feel frustrated because this impacts our team's overall performance. Can we talk about what obstacles you're facing and how we can work together to get back on track? This is not how we normally speak, which is why we say you've got to practice, right? You've got to actually put some thought in this. Now, here's what's nice is if you're a remote business on Zoom, you could have that on your screen as you're talking. You don't need to have it memorized, okay? Now, you could also in person have a notebook with your a few points, and if you need to look down, look down. You just say, I put some thoughts together. I might peek at it just to make sure I really come across a few points. Guys, it's okay. I think we put so much pressure on us that we have to be perfect when we speak and we have to have everything memorized and we have to sound a certain way. We're just looking for honesty in a respectful way. And that's what they want too. Okay, another one. I've observed that there seems to be tension between our marketing and sales teams. I feel concerned because this affects our company's overall performance. Can we schedule a meeting with both teams to align our priorities and improve collaboration? I mean, I'm pretty much saying this is a problem. Here's why it's a problem. Here's what we need to do, right? Okay, I think this is the last one. I've noticed that the tasks we agreed to you would handle are often delayed. I feel worried because this impacts our business growth. Can we discuss how we can better divide responsibilities, or if you need additional support? I just think it's a way that you're not blaming, you're not saying you need to do this. It's like, how can I support you? Okay. All right. So the key to successful, difficult relationships, remain calm. If you get, you need to be the calmest person in the room. And if somebody is at a level 10 energy, the calmer you stay, it usually brings them down because they kind of feel almost a little dumb that they're behaving this way and the other person isn't. If you start to climb to meet their energy, they go to another level. This is with clients, this is with team members. So stay calm, focus on facts, really train your team. We do not make blanket statements. You have to be specific. You need facts here. Express your feelings and your needs clearly. Make specific, actionable requests. Pretty soon, when your team starts to see this, they will understand the framework for how to have that hard conversation. They've now got 4 prompts of what is actually happening and how do I move forward to make sure that this changes. All right, so we're gonna do this. Let's take a quick break, and then you can think about this on your break. So in a minute, you're gonna come up with your big frustration that is happening, and you are going to write your statement. So you're gonna have your statement ready to go when you get home to talk to that person and have that uncomfortable conversation in a respectful way to get things moving. So we are gonna craft your hard conversation today before you leave. And you are gonna commit to having this conversation in the next week or so, okay? And it's one of those, you just have to rip the Band-Aid off, right? We have to do it. We need to move forward, and we have to start to get good. So I can't remember, I think somebody over here was like, you just sound good when you say that. Because I've been practicing, right? I'm doing this over and over and over again. And you will get there too. Like, now I've just said them so many times, I can say it off, like, on the spot without really having to think as much. Whereas because I did this, right? So if we have you start doing it, you're gonna know exactly what to say too, okay? So take like 5 minutes to yourself. I want you to write down, what is the conversation? What is the hard thing that's going on? What is your frustration? So remember, what problem am I trying to solve? Okay, what is the problem? And now you're gonna write down when, and it's a fact, this specific situation happens. I feel this way because I need, okay, or the business needs. Sometimes that's another really great way to phrase it. It's not about what you need, it's what the business needs. And it's hard for them to argue with that, right? And I would prefer, and then put in your request. So I'm gonna give you like 3 minutes to write that down. And then we're gonna practice some of these, okay? Yeah, please.
I'm trying to turn this around so that I'm not feeling bad having this conversation with you. I'm the type, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Yeah, you want everybody to like you, I get that. All right, I think we have to get to the root of how nice are you actually being by keeping this information from them?
Okay, they're probably not even realizing.
Oh yeah, they're not. They don't realize it. And we're not giving them the opportunity to grow by holding it in. And then even worse, we know it's happening and they don't. And now we see it over and over and over. So what happens to us? We are resentful. And then we finally speak on it. What do? We blow up with level 10 energy because this has been going on for months, and they're like, I had no idea. And this poor innocent person who didn't know is getting hit hard. Does that make you want to do it a little more? Okay, good. So if that didn't motivate you, we've got to keep figuring out a different reason. But if she's saying, no, that actually makes me feel like I should say something, great. Yes.
Can you address an I statement to like a group? Like if I say we have call takers, can I do it to the whole call takers all at once, or do I need to separate them and do it one-on-one?
No, I think you could, if it's truly everybody's doing this type of thing and this is important, it's when you've got 6 people and one of them is doing it and you say it in front of everybody and everybody knows we're talking to her. That's when this is not effective, and this was just singling somebody out without singling anybody out, right? So it just depends. I would only bring, if let's say there's how many? Okay, so 2 main ones. If they're both doing it, you can have the conversation together, okay? Now, sometimes when you have conversations or meetings with multiple people, all it takes is for one loud person to say something and hope the other one gangs up. So I actually don't like meetings with more. I don't want to be outnumbered. Do you see what I'm saying? If I think there's going to be an issue. If I don't think there's going to be an issue, I'm just going to go out and say it to the team, okay? Now, if 3 out of 6 were doing something, I wouldn't have a meeting with just the 3 of them. I would have an individual meeting with the 3. Does that make sense? Because also it's like, oh, so we're the bad ones and the other half didn't have to come. It just feels a little like, yeah, like we're targeting. Great question. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Ask me specifics so that you go back and you feel really prepared, okay? You're gonna really quickly share at your table. I only want 5 people per table. So if you've got more than 5, go to somebody else's table to find 5 or find a different table. Every single person should be talking. If you're like, no, I really am like a hidden person, I'm not speaking, then stay with your person as the 5th. Does that make sense? Okay. But I would think an operator would have a problem, an owner would have a problem, etc. So you're gonna say, this is the problem I'm trying to solve. Here's what I'm gonna say, okay? And what we're gonna do is with those 5 people, you're gonna get about 5 minutes. Why? Because it is possible that this was not what she should have said or maybe the way he wanted to phrase it. So we are gonna give them, you're either gonna say, no, it sounded really good. Okay, when are you gonna do it? Are you gonna set up a meeting? Like, get this person moving, okay? Or support them on making it better so the meeting goes well. Does that make sense? So there's 5 of you, 5 minutes max, 25 minutes, and we're back. Now, you're gonna learn things from other people, so you should be actively listening, okay? All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. If you feel like somebody got short on time, maybe tomorrow find them and finish that conversation, okay? All right, so how many of you feel better about tackling this conversation now than you did just an hour ago? Raise your hand high. Okay, so, and you're gonna feel even better once you really start putting this in as a practice and as a rhythm, and that we're not gonna be afraid to tell them, or we're not gonna be afraid that they're not gonna like me, or they're gonna think I'm a bad boss, right? We're gonna be honest, we're gonna be open, and we're gonna help them grow, okay? All right, so let's move on into troubleshooting common problems, okay? So first, I think we have to really just realize that when we tell you in Well-Oiled, we do this, we do that, it doesn't always go exactly the way you're hoping, right? There are certain things that happen, and that is just a part of it, because every person you roll it out to, they have a different personality. And the way you're saying it might be different than the way somebody else is saying it. You can even look back this morning on those different leadership personalities, the way that you've been behaving. You might go, oh my goodness, this is why that conversation never goes well. I'm leading this way instead of that way. So the first thing we want to talk about is when I'm bringing up this example here, I'm talking about troubleshooting passing to the operator and setting this operator up for success. And for some reason, it's not going well. The team isn't respecting, they're not really getting it. They still just want to keep going back to the boss. It's the same thing we talked about with Brooke this morning of like, well, wait, who is this coming from? And should I be listening or should I not? We want to really clean this up, okay? So number one, a big problem we see is a rushed and unclear transition. You get excited, you go home, you whip this out at them, and they have no idea what an operator is or what they're going to do. I'm seeing some smiles already. This may have happened to you. So we really just want to make sure that we are setting very clear expectations, okay? So clearly communicating regarding performance, regarding communication, right? So I know in the past you contact me when you need something, but moving forward, what I would like to see is you're gonna now start to reach out to Jane, and Jane is going to help you troubleshoot, okay? So setting that idea of what's happening and how they're reporting and what they're going to be reporting on and who is going to be the one responsible for checking in and holding them accountable, okay? So when you're rolling these things out and you're bringing it up to them, if you're still having some pushback, I suggest having a meeting, especially now at the beginning of the year. This is perfect timing. Have that meeting to re-roll out. So just like we teach, you should onboard everybody into the company. And if you didn't maybe do it the way you wanted to, you need to re-onboard. We may need to re-roll out this relationship if it's not going the way you hoped, okay? And I'll tell you this, when there's change in the company, right, it tests all of the people in the organization. And sometimes you're finding certain people are maybe not willing to grow with you. So if somebody's like, no, I'm not reporting to her, I want to report to you, and that's not the direction you want to go, right? It's I can see nodding, it's happening. It may be, well, this is what the business needs. Will this work for you? Because what you're asking for, I can no longer do, right? So really letting them know, okay? So discuss how success will be measured and what resources are available to support them. So what their brain is telling them is, she is leaving me. She is not going to be here to support me anymore. And they don't have full trust or confidence yet, possibly in the operator, because they haven't had that relationship with them, okay? So we want to assure everybody, you're not going anywhere. This is a transition. We are working on this. We are trying to make progress towards it, okay? So what resources will be available? I want them to know, this is when you're going to see me, okay? This is when I want you to reach out to Sarah, right, instead of me, okay? So you're just filling them in, because when you don't fill them in, they're making assumptions and they're making things up in their head that maybe aren't actually happening, okay? You also want to let them know what the roles are going to look like at the 30, 60, 90-day mark. So as you're rolling this out, it might be like, listen, right now, Sarah and I are going to be working on these meetings together, and you're going to see both of us. And in about 60 days, you're only going to see me once a month. And at the 90-day mark, Sarah's got this, okay? And you just let them know, here is what is happening. Here is why this is happening, okay? So the more you can fill them in, you will put their mind at ease. Explain to the team what this new role means for them, right? So when I had asked you earlier, I'm sorry, I don't know your name in the back with I asked you about 11 direct reports. Do you know, right here in the blue? Nope. Yes. Tell me your name, I'm sorry. Yes. Jenna Lee. So when I asked you, are you giving them one-on-ones? Are you doing, and it's like, no, I'm not, right? So this should be an exciting thing for somebody who has been neglected. I mean, that's really what we're doing is we are so busy, we are neglecting them, and they need more support, and we're setting up the infrastructure to support them. So not only am I not going anywhere, you should feel more supported than ever, okay? But give us time. This is new for everybody, right? So Sarah might not know everything on day one, but she will find the answer and she will get back to you. So give her grace, right? Sometimes you have to ask for that. Just give her grace as she's learning, but as the longer she's here, you're going to see more and more of that transition over. So now you're going to establish new boundaries. So discuss areas where the right-hand person has autonomy versus areas where they should seek guidance. So you have to ask yourself, how long has my operator been here? And how have I been training them? Do they know the what and the why behind my decisions? Because they might be able to move faster to being autonomous in making those decisions. If you have been making all of the decisions and they've just been coming to you and you say yes or no and you never explain, there's going to be training that needs to happen before you hand it off, right? If you gave me a scenario right now on a certain situation with a client, if I had to secretly tell you what I would do and Sarah had to tell you what she would do, I almost guarantee you we are going to be very, very close to the same outcome, okay? And the reason for that is as I've been leading with what I want to have happen, she's been learning the company values and the company culture, right? And she's seeing, oh, okay, so this is how Stacy handles this. This is how we as a company handle this. These are our company values. So therefore, and she's even said to me, kind of put it back into me and said, well, listen, I know you said you want to do this, but if I'm looking at our company values, I don't feel like we're in alignment with that, right? Which is great because it means she's understanding how I'm making decisions. And sometimes we do need to be called out if we're actually out of alignment and we don't realize it, okay? So it really depends on what this looks like. So you're going to start to say to your operator, here are the things you have full autonomy to start doing, okay? Now, you might even give guidelines on you can refund up to X amount of dollars, okay? So for instance, they may have the authority, I don't know what you sell, so it could be something for 50 or 5,000, right? But you may be deciding, okay, here are reasons we would refund, here are reasons we would do this, and you can make these decisions up to X amount of dollars per transactions, and you're allowed to do X amount per week, X amount per month, where you don't even have to ask me about it, okay? Because think about it. There is a cost of doing business in many areas, and some of these things are going to happen. Just like with an event like this, we have a certain amount of people sign up. How many of you believe 100% of those people are showing up? It's silly to even think that, right? But we track what percentage did show up. So we can start to say, well, it's a cost of doing business, right? Maybe 96% show up every time. So we can properly plan every time we're coming. Now, if Sarah knew that 96% of our attendees come, and all of a sudden she's getting drops like crazy, and we're down to 75% this week, she knows I've got to get Stacy involved because this is not normal. Do you see where I start to set parameters to say, hey, listen, this is normal, right? 100 reviews and 1 bad review. This is normal. I don't need to be notified about it, right? But if we get 4 bad reviews this week, something's wrong, and please bring it to my attention. So you just start to train and tell them specific examples of what is normal, and you can handle it. And if you can't, come to me. I'm here to support you. And this is what's out of the norm. So this is where KPIs are so helpful, because when she sees the goals of what marketing is trying to do, what sales is trying to do, what customer success is trying to do, she knows, oh, okay, they missed the mark a little bit. We're going to help coach them this week. If they are massively underperforming, she is going to bring that to my attention to say, we are not going to hit our goals. Here's what's going on in marketing. Okay? So KPIs are going to help her feel confident. You could even say, our KPI for this activity is 40. And if it ever gets below 30, I want to be notified immediately. Now you get to feel like she's got it under control. And when she doesn't, you will be notified. Okay? So that's going to be really helpful as you start to establish those boundaries. The goal is, right, you start to give little by little, and as they earn that trust and the team starts to really understand and respect them, you're going to do more and more and more, okay? So clarify situations where the owner should step in to provide support or oversight. Now, give grace as you're both learning, right? So for instance, when you realize, oh my goodness, she did this yesterday and I never would have done that, okay? If you go back and you scold and you come in with this conversation, it's going to terrify that person to make decisions in the future without you, okay? So this is where it's one of those things where you can say, all right, I heard what happened yesterday. I saw in your report, this happened. Let's talk about what you did to fix it, and what I want to hear what was your line of thinking behind that. Because she actually might have a really good thought process that you don't even realize and why she actually did something. So hear that person out first, okay? So then let's say you hear the thought process and it's just not what you still would have done, okay? This is where you always find the good. So it could be like, well, thank you for just taking care of this and not interrupting me. Because that's still thank you, right? That's a big thank you. Now, I see why you did that. In the future, let's craft a system where we focus on X, Y, Z. In the future, I would love for this, because remember, if she's going rogue, it's not written down. okay? So you need to craft the playbook and make it stronger for him or her. Now, if they did something that's not the playbook, that's a whole different conversation, right? So this is where this person's gonna get stronger and stronger and stronger. And if you keep judging the way they're doing it because it wasn't your way, but they were never taught a way, they're not going to want to stay here. Okay, so we've got to take those baby steps, and we want to be building out your director's playbook. So anytime we go through and we decide, okay, here is how we're going to do it, add it to the operator's playbook. So resistance to change. So acknowledge that both parties may feel apprehensive about changes in roles and responsibilities. Nobody likes change. Nobody, right? We like routine. We like to know what we're getting. We don't like surprises, right? So acknowledge that this is going to be different for both people involved, right? The new person that now is reporting to them, and also for this operator to take the lead as well. So really help with open communication about concerns and feelings. Talk to individuals, right? If you're realizing, wow, this person is not responding well to the operator, first, encourage the operator to be open and honest and say, I've noticed this. I would love to hear your concerns with me stepping into this role, or with me guiding you on XYZ. Fill me in. What is going on? I want this relationship to work, and I would love for you to be honest here. Okay. Now, could the boss come in and do that? Yes, completely. But is the operator having an opportunity to grow when the boss has to stop in to stop all the bad relationships going on, right? So give them the opportunity to say, address this. Ask them what's going on. Hear them out. Listen. Empathize. Analyze what's going on. And then maybe together we formulate what happens next. And then observe other team members and how they're responding. So first, is this everybody is having an issue with the operator? Or is this the one person who's a little outspoken that you kind of knew would have this behavior, right? So it's very, very different. Now, if it's everybody, that does not mean it's the operator. It is possible there is a company culture that is not where it needs to be. And there are people on your team where the operator might be the only one here that's actually in alignment, right? So just be careful. But I am going to look at that. Is 1 out of 4 people having trouble? Are 4 out of 4 people having trouble? Why? Right? Is the operator missing that executive presence? Did we not roll it out properly? Did I not set clear expectations? How can I reset the expectations? How can I re-roll this out and tell the team, I am confident this is going to work. Help me, okay? Be quick to correct behaviors. This is huge. If you're witnessing bad behavior, you need to say something. Or again, when you don't say something, they assume it's allowed. They assume it's tolerated. When somebody bypasses the operator to go right to the owner and the owner just answers the questions, you're continuously feeding into that same behavior happening. Okay. Sometimes there's a fear of losing control. So you have this idea that the operator is going to be great for the business, but deep down, you are scared as the owner. So discuss the importance of trust in delegating authority. All right. Delegation does not mean losing control. When I just gave you those parameters of Sarah, fill me in when it goes under this or above this. How many of you are like, okay, that alone would ease my mind, right? You just don't, sometimes no news or no information, we start to fill in the gaps of like, I'm not hearing anything, what's going on? Or I bet they're not working on it, right? So how can we make sure that we still have a pulse on what is going on specifically? Encourage both parties to focus on outcomes rather than micromanaging processes. So we were working with a business owner, and the business owner was really trying to work on delegating, and she had a few things delegated this week, and one thing was due Friday. And on Wednesday, she went into Monday.com, and she saw that it had not been started yet. So she did it herself on Wednesday, okay? And really, truly thought there was nothing wrong with that, and this person was not doing it, so she needed to do it. Well, we talked to the employee, and the employee says, well, it's going to take me 3 hours, and I have it mapped out for Friday morning at 9 a.m. So it was going to be done by noon, and you had the deadline Friday at 4. Okay, so did you really want me to actually start working on Wednesday? Because you did not fill me in on that. So this is where we start to get scared, right? We start to think, oh my goodness, they're not doing it, I'll just do it anyway. But you haven't even given them a chance to thrive or to fail. I would rather wait. I would give a deadline a little faster. Like if I really needed that thing on Friday, make it be due Thursday. And if they don't do it by Thursday at 4, do it yourself Friday morning and then have a hard conversation. But to skip the deadline and assume they were going to drop the ball, you never even gave them the chance to show you. This happens often. So move the deadline up or start to practice with things that if they didn't do it, it wouldn't be the end of the world. So think about something that you want to get done, but really if it's done in the next, let's say, end of February, it'd be great. Okay, give that to them the first week in February. And if they do miss it or they do drop the ball, you still have time to fix and figure it out, okay? Maintaining team morale. So communicate changes transparently with the team to prevent rumors or uncertainty. When you do not share information, the rumors are coming, the complaining is coming, the gossip is coming. So the more you can educate and fill in the gaps, the less they will have to speculate. So fill in those gaps. Reinforce how this transition benefits not just the business, but also the team members. Why is this important? Why should they care? What does it mean for them? All right, so this is a big one. Maintaining boundaries and avoiding undermining. This happens a lot as we transition, okay? So the first thing is we want to explain the concept of management by exception. All right, so this is a leadership approach that leaders focus their attention on significant deviations from expected results or performance rather than micromanaging every detail. This can be difficult. We have a way that we want it done, and when we are watching somebody not do it our way, we want to get involved. Let go of the end, like pick your battle, right? I had to learn this the hard way. I would argue with my sister constantly on the way she would do certain things. And thankfully, she would just say to me, listen, you haven't worked at the front desk in 7 years. I am telling you, like they need XYZ. If you would see it, you would get it. And I'd go, yeah, like, okay, so if you can give me the same outcome, but you're gonna do it a little bit differently, why do I care? And a lot of it was just because it was my way and I set it up and I know it was a good way and I want them to keep doing it my way. And you don't get to have that kind of control anymore if you want to grow the company, right? A really great phrase, you can have control or you can have growth, but you cannot have both. And so many of us are holding on tight-fisted, right? With that control. And if you make everybody do the things your way, the company isn't going to grow the further removed you get. All right? So I really, really want you thinking about it doesn't matter the way they do it as long as it's just as efficient or faster. So if she says, I've got a new way, if it's slower, it's not happening, right? But if it's the same or more efficient, 1,000% they get to do it that way. So I really do not know a lot of the systems anymore. I am very, very removed out of the systems, but I do know the outcomes, and that's really all that matters, okay? How many of you right now are micromanaging the specifics of how things get done? Raise your hand. It's okay. I mean, this was me. This is not a bad thing. Okay, some of you. How many of you are really focused on the outcome? Raise your hand high. Okay. All right, good. We want to get more and more leaning that direction. And then we want to teach that skill set to our operator and other leaders because it's our natural instinct to micromanage because we want it to end the way we want the outcome to happen. Well, think, the operator or a leader, they can get in trouble, right? Like we're the boss. If it doesn't work out the way we wanted to, whatever, right? We might, yes, lose money, but we're not going to get in trouble by anybody. Somebody that's working for you is afraid of getting in trouble. They're afraid of doing it wrong. So we want to make sure that we really help them focus on the outcome and not just micromanaging every detail. Okay, and this is going to empower the team to handle routine tasks. So just like if you can delegate, the owner can delegate to the operator and really start to let go. If the operator can start doing that and then creates a culture with the other leaders to let go, do you see how much faster your business is going to grow without you than having the culture of, well, I'll just do it myself. It was due Friday and she hasn't even begun it on Wednesday, right? That's a really scary place to be in because it means you're going to stay stuck and we don't want you there. So how it works, set clear performance standards and expectations for your team. Monitor results. So here is where, as long as you have KPIs and you have numbers, whether it's a daily tracking, a weekly tracking, a monthly tracking, you don't need to get into the weeds unless the numbers are not where they should be. Okay? So if our goal is to grow 100 followers a week or something like that, let's say, and I find out that Bella is doing something on Instagram that I don't like, and I just mean I don't like, maybe like I'm like, oh, I don't like what I look like in that picture, right? Nothing crazy. But she's hitting her number. She's hitting her 100 a week. If she's getting the outcome, right, and it's working, if I go in and start to micromanage the behaviors, she may not get the outcome I want. Okay? So be really, really careful on just monitor the outcome and only get involved when the outcome, or so I should say, when the KPIs, the metrics, the numbers are off, then you get involved. You may have to micromanage to figure out what is going on and why is this not working. But once you go set up that system, now all you need to do is track the actual numbers. Okay? So that's going to help you troubleshoot and figure out where do we need to deep dive. Encourage team members to flag issues that require your input, fostering accountability and trust. So every week the team, like one of the things we ask is, where do you need support? Okay, where do you need support? Fill us in. Let us know. Use that time in your one-on-one to support them in whatever they're struggling with. The benefits of this, it frees up time for leaders to focus on strategic priorities. How much time are you spending micromanaging all of these people? And the bigger the company gets, the more and more you're going to be doing it, or you won't be able to do it as much, and it's actually going to hurt your reputation. It's going to hurt their output because you're not able to actually inspect everything you expect. And without their systems and autonomy, that's going to start to fade. And we want to be really, really careful. It empowers the team members to take ownership of their roles and responsibilities. When you attract A players, they want to know what they're doing, why they're doing it, and what you expect of them. If you've got somebody who doesn't want ownership, you're not looking for A players, or you're not attracting A players, okay? Because they want that. It also reduces unnecessary interference. How often are you interrupted? How many times today during this session have you had to look at your phone, had to check your email? Do you get to just talk to people on breaks, or do you have to go in the hallway to make a call or check email or respond? Like, it impacts how you show up, right? So how can we start to reduce the interference in the day-to-day operations? Okay, so an example, a small business owner sets a target for the month. Instead of checking daily progress, they review weekly reports and step in only if the numbers show a significant shortfall. So here's something to consider. If right now you are sitting here all day, every day, monitoring what should be happening, okay? Start to space out how often you check. Does that make sense? So instead of daily, if somebody's really hitting their targets and they're getting what needs to happen, go to every other day. And once you feel comfortable with every other day and their numbers are staying where they should be, their KPIs, their metrics are staying, you can go to every 3 days, right? And pretty soon you can start to back yourself out. Now, really, what we're hoping for is once a week you check metrics and then you troubleshoot that week what is going on, okay? So that is what I would start to do, is ask yourself, How often am I checking and micromanaging? Some of you might be hourly checking progress on something. What if you just checked at noon and at 3? 2 times versus 8 times could be a big difference for you. So slowly baby step your way and start to show trust and start to tell them, here, I know I'm in here constantly watching and liking and all of that. Here's where I'm going to start to do this next week. And here's what you can expect of me. Okay? Discuss how to resist the urge to micromanage. All right, let's talk about this because it is so ingrained in the way a lot of us have been doing business. It's hard to get. So first, we have to understand the impact of what micromanaging actually does to the team. It can demotivate your team members. They are thinking, wow, they do not think I'm capable. She does not trust me, right? He still thinks he has to remind me over the same thing that I do every Friday, okay? You are losing trust and you're starting to make them second guess themselves. So as a leader, we want to build up people's confidence. When you're micromanaging, they're starting to believe your lack of trust. And why is she always doing this? Why is he always checking in? Am I not reliable? Am I, right, fill in the blank. So we want to be very, very careful. It really can demotivate them, stifle creativity, and creates bottlenecks because now they're thinking, well, they're never going to want to do this without giving the final decision, so I'm going to have to text. I'm going to have to wait. And you're actually creating the behavior you're trying to get rid of. Okay? Look at what it does to your day, to your time. Look at the little tedious stuff you're doing and then understand the big picture items you could be doing that you just don't have time for. Okay? If you want to really up-level the business, there's just no way around it. I do not know really successful people that have work-life balance that micromanage because it sucks your work-life balance right out. It's just impossible to have both, okay? So strategies to avoid it. Number one, just really setting clear expectations. So again, you might be nervous because, well, what if they don't hit XYZ? Well, then put it in the system. Hey, if it's Wednesday and you still haven't hit your quota of X, right? If their KPI is 10 by the end of the week and you expect usually 5 around Wednesday, I want you to reach out to me on Wednesday and tell me, hey, I need support here. We're not trending. Like, that's all you have to do. And guess what? If they don't reach out to you on Wednesday and they're at 6, they're going to start to feel like they've got this. Now, if they don't reach out to you and they're at 4, it's just a different conversation of, hey, we set a clear expectation and you didn't follow through. What's going on? Fill me in, okay? Trust your team. Remind yourself that you hired capable people, and if they're not capable, why are you keeping them on the team, okay? Give them, this is like my favorite part of the sentence, give them the space to prove it, right? Give them the space to prove it. Focus on outcomes, not processes. Avoid dictating how it should be done. We don't care as long as it's in alignment with company values, right? It's providing a great experience for my customer. I always say to the team, like, you just, if you have an idea, but the customer is upset because now they're getting less something, right? That's a problem. But if you can give the same delivery and we can feel it on the back end and the customer doesn't even notice, that's a win, right? So educate them on, yes, we want this outcome, but not if it's going to mean the customer has a bad experience or the team doesn't like working here as much, okay? Delegating effectively. So assign those tasks based on their team member strengths. So remember we talked about earlier, what level of delegation are we at? Do they need the, here is what you're gonna do it, here's exactly how you're gonna do it, follow this to a T, right? Or are they at a level to give them just the outcome? And then the checkpoints, I swear, is the one thing that if you start to incorporate, you will feel better. And it's just baby stepping your way out of how often you're checking and just backtracking from there. And let them know when you're gonna check in. Don't keep that a secret, right? Let them know, okay, I'm gonna check in on Tuesday. Typically on Tuesday, we are around here, okay? And if we're not, we're gonna troubleshoot, okay? So let them know. So when you feel the urge to micromanage, ask yourself, is this something I actually need to handle? Or could I pass this off? Right? Do I really need to get involved, or could I just tell somebody the outcome I'm shooting for and let them handle it? Okay? And then really provide techniques for giving constructive feedback without undermining. Okay? So we want to make sure that they're not feeling like we're always undermining them, or always we know better, or our way is better. Okay. So the importance of constructive feedback. So first, we've got to get rid of the people pleasing. We've got to get rid of, I feel bad, she's so nice, right? Oh, I don't want to tell her that. It is hurting them individually. It is hurting you. Somebody once told me, like, if you know you're going to let that person go at some point, but you're going to postpone it in 3 months or 6 months or a year, right? You're stealing that much time from them establishing in the new business, right? They have to start over. And you're stealing 9 months or 12 months of them actually getting their footing in the new company where they maybe have potential to actually go and grow. When you know not only are they not growing here, they're leaving here very soon. Don't steal their time, okay? So use the feedback sandwich. And I know this sounds like, oh my goodness, of course, but we don't. We're like, hey, I noticed you didn't do this today. We do not say anything nice before that message that comes through of what they did wrong. So a lot of times what I do if I'm like messaging in Slack, I start with where my brain naturally goes of like, hey, why did this happen today? And before I hit send, I have to go, great week so far. Because my brain, I don't think like that. And you probably don't either. So what I'm saying is, let yourself be who you are, but pause, do not hit enter, or do not say it out loud until you figure out what is something that actually did go right. Because these people, like sometimes they do 90% of the things right and 10% wrong, and all you tell them is the 10% they did wrong. And they hate working here because they never get complimented. So you did a great job organizing the event logistics. One area we could improve on is ensuring better communication with the vendors earlier. What we typically do is we say, hey, Christina, you know what? I noticed you didn't do XYZ, and there was a lot of confusion when we got there. And she's like, do you know what it took to put on this event? Right? That's what she's thinking. So we need to take a step back and ask ourselves, what can I say first that is true, that is positive, before I go into this, right? And then they always say the last thing, a marketing tactic, is the most important thing you put at the end because it's what everybody remembers. So you don't start with negative and you don't end with negative, right? But listen, I know we had that confusion, but overall it was really great and I'm really pleased with it. That's the thing she remembers versus like, hey, you messed this up and there was 92 other things she didn't, okay? So really getting clear on this. Focus on behavior, not personality. This is huge. So address the specific actions rather than making it personal. What do I mean? You're careless, right? This happens all the time. This is where you can say, I've noticed there were several errors in the report. One is personality and an identity where we're saying to them, you are careless. The other one is we are noticing behaviors that are true, they're factual, right? Let's review how we can avoid this next time. Very, very different way to approach, all right? So give clear examples. This happens a lot. We have our phrases that we use and we say them, but maybe somebody else doesn't ever use that word and they don't even know what you mean when you say that word. So when you are actually talking to somebody and you say, listen, I don't like how you do X, okay? Or I think this is how it's feeling. And what I mean by that is when we do this or when you do this, it makes me feel that way. They might go, oh, I didn't even think about that, right? But when you just say personality traits and careless or whatever you want to say there, they might be confused on what is she or he even talking about. So the more communicative you can be with this, just like we role play and we share, Give them the example of, hey, so when the customer walked through the door, but you were head down on the computer, what I want you to do is, and you're literally showing and telling, right? Stand up, smile, say hello, welcome, right? Actually show them what we're talking about versus saying like, you're very closed off. What? I'm just getting my job. I don't know. I was on the computer getting my job done. But if you said you're very closed off, people don't feel like you're approachable. Your head is always down at the computer. Instead, if you could stand up and smile when people walk through the door, that would make people think they could come up to you. Very, very different versus thinking, I'm unapproachable. I'm just getting my job done. You gave me a ton of stuff to do and I was just working on the computer, right? So really, really help them figure out, what do you mean specifically? Okay. An example, in yesterday's meeting, I noticed that some key points were missing during your presentation. Next time, let's create an outline beforehand so we can stay on track. All right. Versus like, you were really scattered yesterday. It's like, what? Okay. I didn't think I was. I prepared for it. Okay. Encourage dialogue. Ask for their perspective and involve them in finding solutions. So if you really want this operator to thrive, operators, if you want to build this leadership team up, you are not a one-person show. We want contribution, okay? We want to make sure that there is not just one vocal person or the loudest person wins every argument. We have a leadership team for a reason. We have, maybe you don't have a leadership team, but maybe there's 6 employees or 6 people. We have 6 people for a reason. We want to hear from each of you. Each of you have a different perspective, and we want to know. So what challenges did you face with this task? How do you think we can address that moving forward? So a lot of times where we get, hey, I didn't like this, or this didn't work out well, or we can't do it again like that. And you can say, okay, well, what do you think we should do moving forward? Start to get them problem solving with you versus I'm going to throw all my problems at you and you can figure it out later, right? And honestly, it starts to get them to complain less because they know she wants a solution every time I say something, right? I'm going to make them do some work too, right? We even do this with clients sometimes when a client will say something like, it'd be really nice if you could get all of the siblings in like the same showcase. We wouldn't have to come to, 2 or 3 different dances. And then we explain, well, there's 1,000 students and X amount of siblings. And when it would be probably like a 4-hour show and we'd have to limit you to each only get to bring one person to watch. But if you have a solution, I would love to hear your idea. And they're like, oh no, I know that sounds right. It's like literally people turn around because they're like, wait a minute, you want my help? We literally will say this like, hey, if you have a better idea, we would love to hear it because this is one of our biggest frustrations too. And the more we turn it around, they might actually give us a good idea or they realize, no, that's pretty impossible and I have no idea how to do that, right? Okay, tone matters. And this is where all these, Slack and email and text, it's just people assume how you said something, right? My sister, I always make fun of her because she is like the LOL queen and it's her passive aggressive way of like saying something but being like, I'm funny and you like me, don't forget, I'm nice. And I'm like, listen, they're not reading it that way. Like they know what you're saying, but then you throw in the LOL, right? Some of you are doing stuff like that, right? So how can we just, again, be direct, be respectful, have constructive criticism? Now, tone matters, and when it's really serious, it should not be done where somebody can read it and put it in their own tone, okay? So anytime we're thinking, okay, something's off, tone is off, get in person or get on Zoom where you can actually hear the way somebody's speaking, okay? So this is the same thing with clients. Don't let your operator go back and forth with a client who's irate in an email where we're not really understanding what we're saying. Get on the phone, get on Zoom, get in person, because that alone could fix half of your problems. I think it's just easier to hide behind the computer. We don't want to have that conversation. So if I could just Slack them this will be way better. No, it won't, right? Trust me, I'm sure a lot of you have been bit by doing that and then realizing, man, this would have been a faster conversation and they would never have read it that way, okay? And then really addressing the importance of consistency in decision making. So as an owner or as an operator, We need to be setting up systems, and we need to stay in alignment with systems. People are watching, and they do not want to be treated unfairly. So if you decide we're going to treat one client this way, but you don't have it written down, you just go off the cuff and you say, hey, I want you to do this with that client, okay? Then it happens again to her friend, right? And the friend has a complaint, and then the operator or the owner pulls out an idea what they should do out of thin air, and it's different. And the friends talk. Your inconsistency is going to hurt your reputation. You need to be consistent with clients. You need to be consistent with your team. Because you're not doing it maliciously, right? But what's happening is they're like, wait a minute, why did she get this? And I got this, right? And sometimes it's just, you're having a bad day one day, and you're a little bit not as nice in the responses as you were 2 days ago when you were in a great mood, and you're like, you know what? Yeah, just give them a full refund. And then the next time you're like, absolutely not, and they're charged for next month, right? Like, you can't base your system off of how you feel or how the emotion is. We've got to get crystal clear, okay, on what is the system and how are we going to really move forward. So this is important. As the owner, the operator is watching. Okay, operator, your team members are watching. And when you're inconsistent, what you're saying is, we don't really have a system, so anytime you see this happen, you should ask us how to handle it. Versus if you have a system and you treat everybody the exact same way, and every time they ask you about how to do X and you answer with Y, pretty soon they're gonna stop asking because they know the answer and they're gonna handle it. So one is autonomy and the other one is no work-life balance for you the rest of the time, right? This is what happens. So consistency is going to help people understand how we do business here. Is this clicking? Do you see why maybe things are going on that shouldn't be going on? Yeah, okay. So why consistency matters, I'm sure I went through most of this. It builds trust among the team members. They think you're fair. They also think you're predictable. Predictable as a boss is a good thing, right? We want them to know who they're gonna get and what's gonna happen. It reinforces company values and standards by applying them uniformly across situations. It reduces confusion, frustration, and it's going to help people in the future make decisions because they know, well, I bet you Stacy was gonna say this. I bet if Stacy was here, she would do this. That's what you want. You want them to start to see consistency, and this is how we treat people, and this is what this looks like, okay? How to maintain consistency. So establish clear policies, document them, put it in your playbook, okay? So that's gonna be a huge one is, are you creating those playbooks? Are you using the playbooks, okay? So what's an example here? If an employee is late repeatedly, refer to the company's attendance policy rather than deciding how am I gonna handle this today. No, what does the playbook say? If you've already had somebody show up late, what are you gonna do? So in my studio, we have a bunch of things. If a teacher shows up late, what are we gonna do for a client, okay? And literally, I haven't seen it in a long time, but it's something like, if a teacher is 1 minute late, okay, here's what we're gonna do. If a teacher is 2 to 3 minutes late, here's what we're gonna do. If they're 5 minutes late or 10 minutes late, I think it stops at 10 minutes. If they're more than 10 minutes late, here is what is happening, okay? And the reason for that is it happens. Like, people have car troubles. It's icy outside, like traffic, right? So when somebody's sitting at the 1 minute mark of somebody being late, it's like, calm down, it's only 1 minute. All you need to do is to tell the students, and there's a phrase in the playbook, right? Now, as it starts to get further and further, and you're like, I can't get a hold of this teacher, I don't even know if they're coming, right? We literally say what to do in that situation so that you know exactly what to say to all these parents who are staring at you, right? Because that's what's happening. So same thing, if an employee is late, don't decide in that moment, what should I gift or or for us, if an employee is late, we even gift you something. Do we refund you? Do we not refund you? Like it all depends on the minute, right? Because if somebody's 2 minutes late, I don't think most parents are gonna come up if it's repeats, yes. But if she's one time late for 2 minutes, there's not much we really need to do. If this is a repetitive situation, oh, you better believe there is refunds, there's an email, there's a credit for something else, there's a teacher like swapping out, right? But we don't just decide in the moment, what should we do today? She was 3 minutes late. We open up the playbook, and that front desk person is literally looking at, okay, so I know where we're at so far. I know what the next step is, okay? Communicate decisions transparently. So tell them why. We just do things and we don't teach the why. And when we don't teach the why, right, they might think, oh my goodness, they're so strict. Why do they always favor this person, right? Why are they always doing this over here? We want to explain our thought process so they start to get educated and go, oh, that makes sense. I get it, okay? So an example, we're implementing this new policy because it aligns with our goal of improving customer response times. Okay, you're explaining, yes, we are now checking our email once every hour. They're like, what? I hate email, right? Like, listen, our goal is improving customer response times. We want a better customer experience. Here is how we're going to achieve that. Okay. Check personal biases. Okay. Sometimes we do have our favorites, and we do have people we like working with more than others. And sometimes we make excuses for certain people, and we do not treat them the same way that somebody else would get treated if that were to be happening. You cannot do this. You will lose so much credibility, okay? Executive presence, this is the opposite of that, right? When they start seeing, oh, wow, she has favorites, he has favorites, you are going to lose that executive presence. We have to make sure that even if it's your best friend that you've hired and they've been working here for 10 years, if they are doing something they shouldn't be, it should be followed, whether it's somebody else coming in a year in and doing the same sort of behavior, okay? Ask yourself whether you would make the same decision if another employee were in a similar situation, okay? That's as simple as that. So if our star student, did this, would we react the same way? If this person did it, how would we react? If the answer is it depends or it's changing, well, first of all, if it truly does depend, then make the system explain that, right? If a brand new teacher 30 days in does X, right? It may be different than if somebody who's been here for 5 years who's shown us XYZ, there's a different protocol. But make it make sense and explain why. Because if they say to you, why did this happen to me, but she had this happen the other day and that didn't happen? And you can say, oh, because you're still in your 90-day probation and she has been here for 3 years and it's never happened before. So we're assuming it's not going to happen again. But with you, we still are getting to know you. So we have a different protocol. Oh, got it. Makes sense, right? The more you can explain and educate, the better it will be. Be open to feedback. So encourage employees to speak up if they perceive inconsistencies, right? So I had said to you, like Sarah one time said to me, I feel like this is out of alignment with our company values of X if we do this. And I was like, tell me more. Like, what about that are you saying? And really, whatever I can't remember the story, but I remember thinking, yeah, you're right. Okay, we can't do that. That is not us. That's not even on brand for us to behave that way, right? And it was just something small where it didn't really click, right? I didn't realize it, but having her bring it to my attention, I'm glad she did. Now, if I would have disagreed with her, I would have still wanted to, we ended up going with her decision, which shows trust. If I would have disagreed, I still would have ended that on really good terms because I don't want her to be afraid to bring it up the next time. Because if I disagree and I don't say what she's doing, right, and I don't explain, she's probably not going to bring it up because I don't listen to her, right? All right. So encourage them to speak up. Like, just follow-up questions. Tell me more. Why do you think that? Where are you coming up with that? Give me details, okay? And then practical tip. Create a decision-making checklist that aligns with your business values, right, to guide consistent choices. So all of the examples I've made up here, when a teacher is late for instruction, when I said that, what did you think of? Like there's probably a situation you thought of, well, that doesn't apply to me, but when my person does X, what would I do? And then ask yourself, is that written down anywhere? Okay? Now, before you go make up random systems and start filling all of this out, stay in the moment of what's happening. And before you rush to the next problem, to fix the next problem, ask yourself, wait, is there a system for this? And if there's not, let's make the system in real time, okay, and roll it out as it's happening. All right? So don't think you need to systematize every frustration. I would systematize in real time. While you're systematizing in real time, I would then say, what are big ones that come up often that I know are going to come up soon? And then I would start there, okay? You do not need to systematize your entire business, all right? So let go of that feeling of, or that need that you have to do that. So with that said, I'm hoping that you're starting to see these are just things that a lot of us are making up on the spot, and there's no consistency. And then we're saying to somebody, okay, you're going to do it now. And they have a boss that could actually say, don't do that again. This is not good. And they're going to feel nervous. So as an owner, you need to help them set up these playbooks so they actually have not only the authority, but they know the way you want it done. Okay? And the cool part is your operator could say, let's work on this together. Like, this is, Jake, they could propose and you just approve, right? So if you wanted to say to somebody, I don't know what our refund policy is going to be. Okay, Sarah, could you work on that and come up with a bunch of different reasons why somebody would demand a refund? And then we'll figure that out. Like, could we start, right? And then she can work on it and we could start proposing and going back and forth and figuring it out. Okay, we all have the same problems, right? What happens when an employee is underperforming? Okay, let's figure out what is the first move on our end. What are we sending an email? Are we doing performance improvement plan? Is the leader meeting? Write this stuff down. Get it set in stone.
You shared that if you feel like you're gonna maybe let go of this person or maybe demote, that you should let them know like as soon as possible. But then how at the same time do you figure out if maybe you just they need more coaching and stuff like that?
So before I let anybody go, I ask myself, like, are they coachable on it? Okay? Like, is there opportunity to train? Now, with some of the conversations we've had this morning, it is possible that this person might be coachable, but they are out of alignment with your company values from some of the stories that we've shared. If they're out of alignment with values, it doesn't matter if they're coachable. They're always going to have problems in your company. Now, strategically, like, we've had situations where, okay, I know this person is not a good fit. However, like, I'm gonna use my studio as an example. This is not a good fit. It just is not working well with the other team members. We need to let her go. Well, we strategically are probably not gonna let somebody go unless, really the best case scenario for me is letting somebody go at the end of June. The kids don't even feel that the teacher is gone. If it's a little bit more serious, maybe at the end of December. And if it's super serious, which I have had to do, it's like I pull them now. So the question is, what is strategy for you, right? Is there a better time? Or maybe you're like, I need to fire this person, but you don't have a replacement. So you may be putting up with somebody's behavior for 6 months while that job posting is up, making sure you can actually replace them. I will tell you, it got so bad with this one person I'm talking about that we were like, we don't even care if we have to refund kids and the class is just not happening. It was so toxic, we needed her out. Do you see what I'm saying? So if it's like, well, 3 months would be ideal, let's just wait 3 months and let's start replacing, then do that. If it's so bad that you're damaging your team's morale, you're having a bad client experience, you need to move faster, okay? Sometimes it's just like, wow, I missed that, I not a good fit, but you're okay knowing, like, probably in a year or so, we're gonna need to swap somebody out. It might be a problem, but it might not be your biggest problem. Does that make sense? So sometimes we put up with things that aren't perfect because there are bigger things to fix. Well, let's go right here, right next to you, and then I'm gonna come back here.
So I have a trainer in our salon, and there's an opportunity within the franchise to have her bring in more revenue by coaching other other businesses. Yeah. the concern with her that I've gotten from the home office is that she's very domineering and kind of leads herself to not be open to feedback or other ways to do things, that her way isn't the only way. I think she's really good, and she's good because she does pay attention to detail and she does follow our specific guidelines. So I do like that about her. But when stuff is brought up, she justifies it and explains it. So how do I coach her to be a little bit more open to feedback and that she may not be right all the time?
Okay. So this is just your typical, here's what's working. Here's maybe what's not working. And then here are 3 things I would love for you to focus on. Okay. And it's saying, so something happens and she is believing she's right, so she's justifying. Okay. So again, use not just the language of what you said, but an explanation. So you're like, will you justify? She's like, justify? Like, it might not even, she might not understand what that even means, even though we know what that word means. She's thinking, what are you talking about? So if you could say, when I proposed this, or when I said this, and then you said this, and we went back and forth 4 times, that's what I mean when I say you're justifying. And first of all, let's figure out, why is she justifying? Okay, so it sounds like because she wants to be right. So she's going to argue until she gets her way.
I think she's insecure.
Okay. The mic's right there.
Sorry.
Okay.
I don't feel like she feels like she needs to be right. I feel like she's maybe a little bit insecure and not confident in her abilities. Okay. And just, am I wrong? And just wants to be right because she wants to do the right thing. But she has, like in team meetings, she has mentioned that she has had difficulty with friendships and being understood and things like that. Okay. So I really need to propose this in a way that it isn't hitting her personality, but it is part of her personality.
Yeah. But this is going to help her in life with this skill set if she can learn this. Because trust me, like there has been a phase in my life where I had to be right, and I would just argue until everybody in the room did not like me. You know what I mean? Like, what? And then you look back and you're like, how dumb was I? Eventually I learned that. It would have been really nice to learn that a lot sooner. Like there's been embarrassing moments I can think of, you know, like taking it to the grave. So I think with her specifically, you said something that clicked for me. Okay, you think she's insecure. So remember, we're putting ourselves in her shoes. We're empathizing here, okay? Now, we're making an assumption, but so be careful. Because if she's right, great, then we understand where she's coming from. If she's making an assumption that is not right, her behavior is going to impact this conversation in a very weird way because she's not insecure, or vice versa, okay? So maybe first listen, right? Before you empathize with what you assume, let her talk first. And she may say certain things, and she may even use the word insecure or say, I just don't want to mess this up. I'm really trying, right? Use her words, because she might be insecure, but she would never identify with that, right? You want to use the word she's going to use that she does identify with, and then say, you don't need to feel that way because you're in this role because I trust you. So I don't need you to justify, and I want you to work on it. And I'm even going to say at some point, you're justifying, and it's because I want you to go, oh my goodness, why am I justifying? I don't need to do that. Right? And you're going to coach her on building character. Like that's what this is. How amazing she gets to work with a boss like you that's going to help her grow.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
And if they don't feel like it's that way, right? It's we coach them up or we coach them out. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so good.
Okay, so I'm going to try to direct this and not be all over the place, but sorry if I am. My operator, and he's like, rock star operator. Yeah. In my mind, I thought he was going to be last time I saw you. Well, he's kind of been giving me pushback, as in he's not been showing up a lot. And then today, he did not show up. So
I'm frustrated. I've been frustrated. He has a lot of like emergencies that happen. He takes off like every month for an entire week because he gets sick. So I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't the position for you.
Yeah. Did you make your I statement about him?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Can I hear it? Can you share it with me?
Yes. So it's going to be, when you don't show up at the scheduled meeting or work time, it makes me feel like you aren't committed to the manager position.
Hang on 1 second.
Yes.
Your feeling cannot be about him.
Oh.
Like, I feel anxious. That's a fact. I feel you're not committed. What are you talking about? I'm committed.
Okay.
You see the difference?
Yes.
I feel anxious because I don't know if you're coming or not. He can't disagree with that.
I feel anxious. And
it could be whatever word.
And let down. I feel let down.
I feel let down.
The business needs a leader who is reliable, who is setting the example to the rest of the team.
Yep.
And then the end part is going to probably be, I feel like this isn't the right position for you.
Okay.
And maybe we find another
So
solution.
here's what you could do. You could say everything you just said, minus the last sentence.
Yes.
You need somebody where the business needs somebody reliable. You could open it up for discussion before you say your thought of this isn't a good fit and say, so tell me what's been going on. And now you let them talk. Because he might say, this isn't a good, I don't want to do this. It's a lot of pressure. And when he says it, it's his idea and it will be taken very differently than you saying, you're not right for this position. Now he's like defensive.
So I already had this conversation with him right after the deep dive in November. I went back and looked at his numbers of how many days he's missed, and it was well over 48 days, and it was since April that he's not been at work.
Okay.
And I said, what's going on? Where are you? Where do you see yourself with the company? Where are we at? And he said, oh, I'm in. I've just had a lot of things come up, and I get sick a lot, and
okay.
So I think it's time to.
You're like, I'm already past that.
Yeah. But do I find someone else and then let him go?
So this is your strategy here. You decide. You might decide, it's so bad, I just want to be done, and I'm going to take on the responsibility, or I'm going to delegate it to the 3 people I have left. Okay? Or, man, I really kind of need him until I find somebody, so I'm going to start looking now.
Okay.
While he's here for a little bit.
Okay.
You guys, these are decisions we have to make, right?
Yeah.
So now it's just stating the facts of I don't know if you know this, but you have been gone 48 days since April. I mean, how many of you are like, holy cow, what is happening, right? We actually had somebody call in sick, kind of like that too, where we're like, she calls in sick a lot. So we had to start writing down every time she called in sick. And we were like, whoa, this is intense. So we had this conversation and she was like, but I do get sick, okay? Really, she's like a hypochondriac, and anytime she has anything happen, she just can't come to work.
Yeah.
Right? But we're like, I get that.
Yeah.
And that is possible, that I believe that you get sick, but it's not working for what we need. And if this is a pattern, it doesn't look like something's magically changing. It looks like you consistently do get sick, which I understand has to be so stressful, but this isn't working for the company. The company needs somebody who is going to be here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's almost like, I feel like, am I legally allowed to say that? Am I legally allowed to say, you're sick too much, you're fired?
I mean, if you are, is he an employer or a contractor?
I think he's an employee.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you are employing somebody to work X amount of hours a week, I mean, first of all, I would definitely consult, I would check your state law.
Okay.
I'm looking at Sarah because she would know more than me. I mean, you never know. What state are you?
Texas.
Texas, okay. I would just Google it. You actually, now you know what you really can do?
I think it is at will.
Go to ChatGPT. What is she saying?
It's at will.
Okay. So go to ChatGPT. So she's saying it's not a sick problem, it's a performance problem. Your
Right.
numbers are not hitting what you need to hit because you are not showing up to work.
Right.
Yeah. So first, you can go into ChatGPT now because it can take like your government's website. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's probably smart enough to feed it Texas law, but you could literally, like for me, it's like wisconsin.gov, right? I could literally say, review this website and tell me if I would be allowed to do X, right? It's gonna spit out some pretty accurate information, enough to scare me to talk to my lawyer or to go, no, literally the website is saying I can do this for X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But always consult that website. And then if there's any, I don't know, get a lawyer involved.
Okay.
But yes, I do agree, tie it to performance. Yes, Sarah?
Yes.
Discrimination or, disability.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how could it not be affecting his performance?
Right.
He literally didn't work how many, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So if I were you, I would still put him on performance improvement plan because
Okay.
I want documentation.
Okay.
It's a little too risky with what she's saying of like, you might not know. So I would do performance improvement, explaining what I need to see. He's probably gonna call in sick, right? And now it's like, hey,
Right.
this is what happened performance-wise, and I would probably do that.
Okay.
And it gives you 30
Yeah.
more days to find somebody.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah. Anytime I'm nervous, I want documentation.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking I would just demote him to picture framer instead of manager, because he'd probably quit. Or he'd be a great framer if he stayed. What? Well, if he stayed as a picture framer, yeah, he's an incredible framer, but at a lower pay.
The problem started when you promoted him?
It's kind of been a slow burn.
He's probably just not like somebody who calls in sick 48 times since April. It's just not somebody who's like driven and hungry, and there's probably some things that no matter what, you still are gonna have an unreliable picture framer.
Yeah.
Like he may or may not come in tomorrow.
Right.
That's not somebody you're looking for.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've definitely experienced this. I think if you even word things like, this is just not feeling viable for the business needs and the growth that we're trying to achieve. And I think if you're kind of laying out some of like what she was saying, but also looking at like what's viable for the business needs and what he knows that you guys are working on, because he can see that and then I've also used words like, how are you feeling that this is working for you being here? Like I'll say like, how do you feel like it's working for you at Yoso with what your position is? And I'll kind of put it back on them. And often when I put that and they know that we're having a meeting, they're like, you know what? Actually, this really isn't working for what I want in my life, and they actually choose to leave, which is helpful because that helps with unemployment. But so I think also like giving them the opportunity to ask him, like, how do you feel that you're performing? Like, how do you feel that this is going for you? And what do you know? And I've also tried to demote people, and it is, you may as well. It's really hard. It doesn't work. You end up letting them go, and you've wasted more money because they are not performing at any capacity. Especially once you've taken them down to that level, they're like, I'm out, but I'm still here getting paid.
Yeah, it's really hard to demote. Yeah, unless it was like, I really didn't like being the operator. I just did it because you wanted me to, and I really like being this, and it happened. Like he's excited. Sometimes it happens. It's rare. Yeah. Yeah, I think you know what to do. Check your state. Let's see. And then put them on a performance improvement plan. And have that conversation of like, as the operator, I really need you to show up. Like, I really need you to be here. I'm looking for, how many hours a week is he working? Okay, but you're looking for full-time work. Okay, so I'm looking for full-time work. Like, are you able to provide full-time work, right? Yeah, and then go to performance. And whether it's full-time, it's like, here's the outcomes I need. Can you get it done with the work you're providing? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Yes. Come up here.
in relation to that, how do you juggle like a person being in salary? They're not hourly based.
Yeah.
They're not delivering, I guess, what the expectation is. But then
do you believe they're not working full time? Is that what's happening?
They are working full time, but how does that work? I mean, like if it's like 40 hours and it's like, that's it, I'm working the exact 40 hours, and if this doesn't get done, then it doesn't get done. Or is there?
So they're basically clocking out at 40 and they're like, that's all I could do. That's what you're getting.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's right now the ball is in their court. You're letting them decide what they're getting done in 40, right? For me, here is what needs to happen this week. So when we roll out the weekly plan, like we've got our annual, then our quarter, then our 30, then this week, we're saying, here's what we expect you to do this week. So if you are constantly not hitting what we think you should be doing, now we're gonna have a performance talk of like, what is happening here? Can we see a time audit? Like we need to figure out why, because we believe this should be able to get done in 40 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
But how does it work when, for instance, in my case, it's retail, you have to balance between, like my expectations that the manager jumps in if it gets really busy and helps to cover the front if there's a long line and stuff. And he kind of feels like, well, I'm not at the front and then get to do all the stuff, and so I guess it just doesn't get done. I mean, my expectations that customers are first. Yeah. But I also kind of expect that he would like at least there'll be some wiggle room in that kind of.
Does he know this? What you think in your head?
Kind of.
Kind of. I mean, it's just like we don't tell them exactly what we expect, so they don't even know that they're not supposed to do that. Or they're kind of hoping you're not thinking that way and you're not bringing it up. So then he's going to lean with, I think that's what she wants.
I mean, he kind of mentioned kind of like, well, this is what you get, you know, like I just took over this business. So it's not a person I hire or that I put in that as a manager, but he's kind of like, well, I know you and I just carried over whatever the previous owner had. So he's kind of like, well, I know you and I never like discuss my position or what I get paid, but it's like, this is what you get for like what I get right now. Like,
and he's an employee?
He's a manager.
But is he a W-2 employee?
Yes.
Okay. So number one, the old boss used to let him run the show. So he's like, just so you know, here's what I do for this amount. That's not how employees talk. Just so you know, right? Here is the job description. Let's actually go through this with the job offer. Here is what we are looking to have you do in X amount of time. Please sign this employment agreement if you'd like to accept this offer.
Okay.
I am in charge. You executive presence of like, no, here's what is happening. So I would get very clear on his job description. I would say to him, tell me all the things that you're in charge of or all the things you're responsible for. Then you go remake it up, right? And say, here is what we expect. Here is what is on your plate. Here is the dollar amount. And let's discuss if this is still a good fit for you moving forward. You've got to take back charge. Like, right? Like, especially if he's like, oh, he might be excited, like, wow, she's just listening to whatever I'm saying with this old person. You come in and have that executive presence.
Okay, but can you require or ask them to go over the 40 hours if they are salary based?
If they are salary has nothing to do with hours worked. So this is where we start to blend the situation here. If they are truly a salaried employee, it is just getting the job done. It has nothing to do with how many hours you're working. Sorry, salary exempt. So you have to figure out what is he actually doing.
Oh, okay. He's a store manager.
No. I'm saying like legally on paper.
Okay.
What is he? And this is why a job offer is massive. Because in the job offer, it would say exempt. It would say all of this like legal jargon that you need to make sure, like, oh, no. You did this. We signed this. Here's what we agreed to.
Okay.
Yeah. You'll see in all of our job descriptions for employees, it'll say salaried, what?
Like full-time salary, if there's a bonus or a comp structure attached to that, and it will often say like exempt. And then you really set the tone even at the bottom when we typically do a communication cycle of the expectations that we're expecting, right? And then even in there it says during certain times or during certain seasons, during certain fill in the blank, right?
We may have to.
You may be expected to work
Christmas, holidays, it's retail.
Weekends, nights, et cetera,
Mm-hmm.
whatever your parameters would be.
Yeah.
And that's why you walk them through, like when you want to extend that offer, you really do want to walk them through that job offer, that job description, and make sure that they fully comprehend what it is that they're signing up for, so that they don't then accept the role, and then 3 weeks later, I know you acquired this business or you just started taking over this, but that way they don't come on, and then it's like, we expect this thing, and they're like, I don't know where this came from. I don't know what you're talking about.
And when I hire like a director, like we will say, now the job is typically Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. That does not mean that if something happens, I'm not going to have to get a hold of you to do something. Like this year, Corey, who's pretty brand new, he'll be here tomorrow. I think he's maybe in like day 90. But a month ago, Christmas, I think I messaged him either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, which is crazy for me. But I was like, oh my goodness, I just caught something in marketing that's broken. We're spending like $7,000 a day in Facebook ads. I need him to fix this now. I don't know how to do it. It's his role. So he understood. Shoot, we messed up. I got to fix this. And he literally got on and quickly fixed it. But he also wasn't like, how dare you call me? It's his role. It's his responsibility. I'm just grateful I found it and he was able to fix it. I would have kept calling until I finally got a hold of him, knowing I'm blowing $7,000 today. So you see what I'm saying? But like that was in their onboarding, or not even onboarding, that was in their hiring process of we're really going to work like Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. But it is possible something pops up on a Saturday or a Sunday. And when it's rare, but if I need you to be there to fix it. And he was. Okay? So I said to my husband, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm messaging somebody on Christmas Day. Like, but what are you going to do, right? And that is what they've signed up for, that they are going to own that role. All right, so what I want to do really quickly is I want you really have less than 5 minutes. You can go back to the same tables you were just at, so there's only 5 in your group. Really give yourself like a quick 3 minutes each. I want you to share your biggest takeaway and your biggest commitment when you go home. What are you going to do because of this session? Like, how can we make sure this gets done and this happens?